Milltown, what it do? 414, stand up. Better late than never. Outlaw Radio on a Wednesday evening, hump day edition. How y'all doing out there? Hope everybody's doing well. Please, please, please tell our fellow brethren that the show is on. I know I'm late, massively late, by the way. Sometimes life, as they say, be lifing. So I had some business to take care of, but I managed to get here again because this is one of the best times that I'm going to have in a week. It's Outlaw Radio, man. The militant with a microphone, mouthpiece of the movement, a.k.a. the Negro Whisperer, in the building for another edition of Outlaw Radio. Foundational Black American platform. What do we talk about? Talk about Black people stuff. What is Black people stuff? If you stay tuned into the show long enough, you will figure that out. So welcome to the show. We have a phone number attached to the show, and that is 262-202-5131. So if you want to call in, participate in the conversation, you're more than welcome to do so. We also have a chat room that pops crazy, and you'll see if you watch the show. It gets wild in the chat room, right? But welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the show. I got a full house, as you can see. Mama said I could have company tonight. Witch Doctor, how you doing, my brother? What's popping with you this evening?
Hey, I'm good, man. I'm good. How y'all doing out there? Welcome to Outlaw Radio, where we talk that talk and we definitely walk that motherfucking walk.
That's right.
Yeah, we elevate. Y'all better come on in. I'm trying to tell you, I am the Black woman lover, the Black man's brother, the culture teacher healer, the ghetto witch doctor, the real G. Y'all better come on in. I'm trying to tell you. Hey, listen. Hey, mama. Here go that sauce, man. I'm every motherfucking where.
There we go. Juice Lady in the building. We haven't seen her for a second. She was out of the country. She was out of the country on holiday.
I was
on Facebook. Right. Yes. We'll talk about that. Welcome to the show. And then I have a very special guest who's part of the Outlaw family. I don't even he's been on our show so many times, going back years and years and years. So I'm always happy to have him here. But he has something pertinent to discuss tonight. So I decided, hey, let's let him talk and put our people up on what's going on. My brother, tell these people who you are and what you do.
Hey, good evening, Kev. Good evening to all your followers and loyal Black community strong people.
There we go.
Let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Robert Miranda. I'm the spokesperson for Freshwater for Life Action Coalition. I don't have the intro like your esteemed colleagues, but everybody every now and then call me the Puerto Rican Deacon.
Okay.
I don't go out freaking, but I be doing what I need to do.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. What's going on, man? How you doing? How you been all right? Everything good? You straight, as we say?
Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's straight. Things are moving forward. Appreciate you inviting me back onto the platform here so that I can at least give some insight and some information so that our communities, brown and Black, can be aware of what we need to do to take the kind of precautionary measures we need to take to protect our families from lead poisoning, which is the scourge of our communities.
Okay.
This scourge in Milwaukee has made Milwaukee in this country one of the highest rated cities in lead poisoning. We are about 2 to 3 times higher than the national average in lead poisoning. And with the recent crises that we've had at Milwaukee Public Schools and the continuation of the lead pipes and the lead in the water poisoning our community, that trend continues. So we have to pretty much understand what this means to our health and what we can do to protect the health of our children, who are the ones who are going to be the most affected by this poison.
Okay. So now, are there some new developments in this? Because I know people want to know what's the latest and greatest in terms of this news with the water. I mean, it's been It's been brushed up under the rug a bunch of times. We know we go back, you and I, Robert, to at least two. And I know you were doing it way before, but I first became aware of what was going on in about 2015. And so, I've attended some some events, some press conferences, just seen all kinds of things surrounding this. And for a long time, we watched Mayor Barrett try to, blow it off. Right. He tried
Right.
to say, it's the paint. And, there was a lawsuit with DuPont. And, I think Milwaukee kind of wanted in on that.
Right.
And I want you to be able to talk about this. I am, let me get my thing straight, because no Diddy. Let me get my post right, because they're saying I'm not on Facebook. So we want to make sure we are on Facebook. Let me see. Is this? Let me sure I'm on my government name, Kevin Barnes. Okay, y'all can see us on Facebook right now. Okay, let's make sure, because I know we're in the Outlaw Radio. I was in a hurry, y'all, so excuse me. Let me make sure. Okay, we good to go on Facebook. We good to go. So like I was saying, so it's been a song and dance for the city of Milwaukee for a very long time. We've come from there to a point where there's been money released. At one point, they said that part of the COVID money was going to go to addressing this. I've even heard some talk that they have actually started. Like, there's some movement on it. In MPS, we see buildings closed down, all kinds of stuff. So I just figured you had an update for us tonight. So I want you to have the floor. Let me just check my chat room so I can welcome my Outlaw family in the building. And then we'll let you just go, my brother. Earl Henning said, great day, my brothers and sisters. Love us, chocolate milk. Carrie Walker Jones, how you doing, my sister? Earl Henning said, I was driving a van for him, taking people to work. He was driving a van. Earl Henning was driving a van with you, Brother Robert. This is Ernest Walker. He said, why you ain't on Facebook? I'm on there now, my brother. She said, Brenda Peterson said I'm on there. So we're good to go. I probably missed that, y'all. I was in a hurry. So let's get to it. It is Outlaw Radio. Please, please, please share the show. Let people know that the show is on. We need eyes on the platform, because I'm tired of seeing other people get traction who are trash. I'm just kidding. I'm just not, no disrespect to anybody else's platform. What you got new? What's new with the water, Brother Robert? Tell us, put us up on game.
So what we have going on right now, and I'm glad you mentioned the work that was done in the past and the fight that we had to go through with City Hall in regards to exposing this lead that's in the water, and getting the people to understand that our water that flows through lead pipes is not safe and should not, and our people should not be drinking from it. Because of the fact that it flows through lead pipes. And if they do, they should be using filters. The NSF 53 model filters is what the community should be using if their pipes are made of lead. But again, we see what we saw 10 years ago, and that is another attempt to try to dismiss, misinform, mislead, and run a campaign about water not being as significant of a threat to our health as lead paint, soil, and dust. They keep going back to this whole thing about lead paint, soil, and dust, and they're still doing that even in the MPS crisis. And and the reason why they do that is because when you talk about liability, they can always throw off to the private sector. They can always say lead paint and all that stuff. These are the corporations. These corporations went ahead and poisoned our community. We should sue them. We should take them to court. We should get the money to go ahead and clean. But the one who's responsible and liable for the poisoning of lead in the water is government. It's government. Government is the one who's liable and responsible for removing this toxic from the water, and they're responsible because these pipes, when they laid them in back in the 1800s, was pretty much mandated by government. Government said to use lead pipes to connect to the water mains. Now, the difference between water mains and the lead pipes is lead service lines connect from the water main to the inside of the house. Water mains are made of iron, cast iron, and those are the ones that run along the street. The ones that connect laterally to the house are lead pipes, and those were the ones that were pretty much mandated by the government to be used. So government has the responsibility now to correct a wrong that it committed 120 years ago. And the reason why this is such an important issue is because these lead pipes should have been removed 70 years ago.
Because this was regulated. So after 1955, there was regulation that said you are no longer allowed to utilize lead piping in your laterals. Correct? I mean, correct me when I'm wrong. I know you got all the information.
Correct. They went ahead. Actually, the city of Milwaukee went ahead and banned the use of lead pipes in 1962. It wasn't until 1987 or 1986 that the United States government banned the use of lead pipes.
Okay.
So after 1986, lead pipes were banned, but yet there was no mandatory removal of the lead pipes. So they kept them underground, which they shouldn't have. Once they were banned and they knew how dangerous the situation was and what a threat to health it meant, government should have immediately moved to remove them, but they didn't, because the government didn't want to start throwing money into water infrastructure repairs. If you recall, 5 decades ago, a lot of the cities all of a sudden started investing heavily in building downtown, all their downtowns. Everybody started throwing money and building new skyscrapers, building up their downtowns, trying to attract tourism to their cities. So they needed that money to invest in the downtown community. And a lot of that money was taking out of the neighborhoods. And that's why we see a slow deterioration of our neighborhoods, because for the last 4 to 5 decades, it's always been a priority to throw a lot of money downtown. And here in Milwaukee is no different than what we see in other cities around the country. We see all this money being invested in the Deer District. We see all this money building new doggy parks over there by downtown. We see all this money going around being thrown and rebuilding things at Summerfest, $30 million for a new road track, all kinds of stuff. But when you talk about water infrastructure and public health, no money has been thrown into that in order to maintain a safe environment and a healthy environment for the neighborhoods of our city, because they don't want to throw that money in there.
So what did they do with the money that was allocated through the COVID? The money that was allocated for that, was that money actually applied and something was at least started, or did this go somewhere else? Like, we had a sister on here one time to say the money ain't stolen, it's just lost, right? Like, somewhere it's a couch in MPS with like $3 million under the cushion, right? Like, it just slipped out somebody's pocket. So where did this money go?
Well, the money started the movement to begin the process of removing lead pipes. And in 2019, 2020, we went from removing 1,200 pipes a year to about 2,200 pipes a year. And that money was really the start of getting that started. And it went on for a couple of years, and they've been removing over 2,500 pipes or more a year. But the process is still too slow, in my opinion. Okay. They have a goal of removing the pipes by the year 2037. But that, again, to me, still puts our community in danger, still puts our community's health in danger. And so what is the plan that needs to be implemented in order to protect the community? And we've been advocating for the last year now that the city of Milwaukee, our older people, should get their I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that word, but
free yourself.
Should get their act together,
all right,
and push a filter first campaign, a filter first program, a filter first program mandated, created by ordinance by the City Council of Milwaukee, to mandate that homes with lead pipes must use filters to protect the families while this is all going on.
But not just any filter. There's a certain filter. There's a specific filter, right?
Exactly. And the filtered people, again, a filter that needs to be used is an NSF 53, model NSF 53 filter. that will deal with eradicating the lead out of your water, be it soluble or particulate. It'll remove the lead. But we don't see that coming out of City Hall. We don't see that. And the reason why I am really emphasizing this about the water is because I sent an article to you recently that was released by the New Yorker.
Okay.
And this article was really hitting it right on point. And the title of the article was, Did Lead Poisoning Create a Generation of Serial Killers?
Mm.
Think about that. Did lead poisoning create a generation of serial killers?
Right.
Now, you look at all the cities around the country. You look at Chicago, New York, Milwaukee, all these cities, all of them having lead pipes. And look at all the shootings, look at all the killings that are going on. And then you look at those cities, and I'll take Chicago, for example. Chicago has over 450 to 500,000 lead pipes servicing the water of that city. And the studies show that the continuation and consumption of lead in the body affects behavior. And there was a study that was done here at UW Milwaukee a couple of years ago, just recently, where the professors studied information of 90,000 residents from 1986 to 2003 and showed that all those residents who had lead issues eventually had issues with gun violence in our community.
Okay.
And so,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
and so when I looked at the article from the New Yorker, and they broke it down, bear with me because this is interesting information. We all know that in the early 1900s, lead was in gasoline. And we
Okay.
were using leaded gasoline. And in the 1940s, 1950s, the explosion of the auto industry, a lot of cars were on the road. Everybody was consuming lead gasoline in their cars. And that was releasing a lot of lead in the air. And the article points out that in 1940, it was registered that they had 55 serial killers around the country. Then they had 10-year increments, and they showed that in 1950, 72 serial killers were found. In 1960, that shot up to 217 serial killers were found. In 1970, that shot up to 605 serial killers were found. And then in 1980, 768 serial killers were found in the country. Those numbers started going down when eventually in the 1970s, we removed lead from gasoline.
Okay.
And so when the 1990s showed up, it showed that 669 serial killers were found around the country. Then in 2000, 371 serial killers were shown around in the country. And today that number is down to 117.
Damn, that's still a lot though. But okay, so okay.
My point is,
No, I get you. I get you.
there's that link that shows that the more we consume lead in our body, the more vulnerable our population is to engage in behavior that is violent. And I always say, people who commit violence in our community, if I was a defense attorney, the first thing I would do is get a lead blood test of my client. Because if my client has a high lead blood level and he engaged in a violent crime, I have at least a defense I could put out there to show this may have led to his behavior and his action. And instead of receiving a 30 to 50 year sentence, there might be some leniency. And I'm not saying violent criminals shouldn't be held accountable, but at least there is something that shows that this individual was poisoned and that may have affected him in the head to make those bad decisions he made to engage in those violence.
So for my people, a lot of times in my community, you know, information is valuable. So not everybody has some, right? We talk about why do we care about this? And if we look at what's going on in our community, and we've been discussing this for the last, I don't know, 2 months with the out of control behavior of our youth.
Right.
Now, if you are able to draw conclusions, if you will, or cite coincidences, you have understood that MPS is just now getting proactive with removing these pipes. And most of these youngsters are children who were educated in these MPS buildings.
Right.
So they spent their formative cognitive years drinking this lead water. And there's a direct connection between, like you said, violent behavior, impulse control. It's a whole study on it, with lead poisoning, right? And so if you are out there and you're saying, well, why do we care about this, Kevin? This is boring. We want to talk about Hulk Hogan. We'll get to that later. But we have to make this connection that there's a reason. We used to say some in the water, right? Because these kids just are not behaving in a way that we're used to kids behaving.
Right.
Okay. The fact that you have, and I know it's not all of them. So all y'all say, oh, kids ain't bad, Kevin. What about the good kids who drunk the water? Whatever. I'm just saying the fact that there's seems to be more of an elevated sense of kids who are left of the line now than there ever has been. I'll tell you this. When I first started thugging, it wasn't popular. It wasn't cool, you know. And when I went to school, when they first found out that I was a kid who rocked in the streets and kicked it with street dudes, they didn't want to do with me. Oh, Kev is bad, right? Like, nah, it wasn't until The Chronic came out in 1992 where it switched. And then Tupac got Thug Life tattooed on his belly, and it became a fashion statement, right? But now it's a norm. It is a cultural, the whole gangster street dude. Look at the young females with the whorehouse culture. Everything is just perverted, right? And there's extreme 14, 15-year-olds die every night in Milwaukee. 14, 15, 16-year-olds die every night. I'm looking at the news like, how many days in a row can we go without a person under 18 killing somebody or getting killed, him or himself? So there's a direct connection between cognitive behavior and lead poisoning. So I just want people to be aware of that. Like, why is this such a big deal? And you made that point, and I didn't even think about the serial killer thing. So that's even crazier with the correlation between the lead from gasoline. But then there's also the paint. That's what they blamed it on in Milwaukee. That's what Baird said.
And that's what they want, again, us to focus on. But, you know, I have done this work now for the last 12, 13 years. I've never sat with a family who told me that they have dinner eating a lead paint chip buffet at dinner table.
Okay.
Or going to the windowsill as a family sniffing the dust. Okay. I've always had people telling me that they have never used filters to drink the water coming out of their taps when they have lead pipes in their homes. And when I talk to them, families actually who have experienced high blood lead levels, and the Milwaukee Health Department comes in to do what they call the environmental health assessment. I've had families, and a couple of other activists I know have had families tell them the same thing, that when the city comes into their house and does the testing and all the stuff they do, they look and test for the paint and the dust and all that. But they don't really test the water. And if there is no lead paint or dust in the house, they always run outside and look at the soil. And if it's even just a little bit of dust, paint, or soil issue, they tell the family, tells them, you didn't test the water, and they'll say, no, we got enough evidence. We got enough evidence here. The problem is that you don't supervise your children well enough, and you need to keep an eye on them. You need to keep an eye on them, because if this keeps happening, we're going to report child services on you. And that scares a lot of families, and they start thinking, man, you know, I know it's the water that's poisoning my kid. I know that I don't have lead paint dust in my house. but they don't want to deal specifically with the water. And that's what they're doing at MPS too. They're telling people that the lead in water is not a big issue at MPS, but they found lead in the water at MPS. So where is that lead coming from? They say that the lead pipes that connect from the water main to the building of MPS buildings are not made of lead. But they don't talk about the fact that the pipes that are inside the building that run up the walls of those 3-story, 2-story buildings are generally and mostly made of lead. And they say, well, we use filters at the bubblers or at the fountains, but they don't use filters in the sinks in the bathrooms and in the kitchens or in all of the sinks in certain classrooms. And so sometimes I talk to teachers and they tell me, well, usually I don't tell my kids to go to the bubbler or the fountain at the school to fill their water bottle. I tell them just go in the bathroom.
Worse. You're going
And
to
the
avoid
kid,
the filter.
yeah. So, that's the kind of misinformation or information they don't want going out in the public and telling the community, because they don't want, they keep throwing that mantra that pain is the primary issue. But the bottom line is, for the city to continue to say that, they say that without facts. They don't have epidemiological study to prove it. There's no real research that shows what they're saying is actually fact. They're just going by what they say is their data, is by their experience, is by their inspections. But if we look at it from the inside, they only recently, in the last 5 years, I would say last 5 years, revised the reports that their inspectors use to include more questions and gathering more data related to lead and water. So really, a lot of the data that they have for the last 5 to 7 years is still not really sufficient for them to come up conclusively to say that the primary reason why our community is in danger of lead is primarily lead, paint, soil, and dust. Now, again, this is not to pick one or the other, because lead is lead. It poisons you no matter where it comes from. But my information and my concern is that we are reducing the issue of lead in water to almost a non-issue. And that shouldn't be, when water is what our community uses most and drinks and cooks with, and it comes in the system in 2 different ways through water. It comes in the system 2 different ways. It comes in through soluble lead in the water, and it comes through particles, little tiny flakes that peel off the inside of the pipe that land in your water. And those particles carry a much more hazard in the water, because that lead is concentrated in that particle and it carries more lead in it. And again, if 0 is the level we want to be in regards to the safety of water, why are we not pushing that mantra? Why are we not pushing that mantra for lead, soil, dust, and paint? And the reason why we don't is because, again, our city is now focused on creating an environment that is safe for us. It is focused on spending more of their money so that they can continue to invest heavily in putting more skyscrapers downtown and putting more vanity-looking issues downtown, which cost and subsidizes billionaires who are investing downtown. And they got to find the money to improve the infrastructure of downtown, to bring in all the materials they need to build all that stuff. And that's a lot of money. And the ones that pay for that is you and me, property owners, taxpayers of this city, who are not getting the kind of respect and the kind of attention that we deserve to clean our schools of this hazard and to clean our neighborhood of this hazard.
Okay, let me catch the chat room. If you're tuning in right now, it's Outlaw Radio on a Wednesday evening. We got Robert Miranda here is from Black Freshwater for Life Action Coalition. So if you're wondering what we're talking about the lead pipe lateral crisis in Milwaukee. Courtney, was you trying to ask a question, or was you just kind of saying,
I
"Oh, this is
was.
correct"?
I was indeed.
Okay,
And
go
I
ahead.
asked a question, but I was going to say, even outside of the drinking water, our skin is the largest organ on our body. So, like, I have filters on my showers, So, besides even just drinking the water, taking showers in the schools, when you taking showers after gym, after swimming, just all of that is just getting to you no matter what.
Right. And people don't get it twisted saying, well, just boil it, because if you boil lead, it makes it worse. If you boil the water, it makes it worse. Let me get the chat room because it is filling up quickly and I want to stay on pace with it. And Brenda Peterson is in the chat room and she's saying the same thing I said, because Robert said 2037. And I'm sitting here trying to do the math. Like, wait, that's over 10 years from now. Like, how old will I be? I won't get to enjoy none of this. So that's a long way off. Mama Jenkins in the chat room. Shout out to Mama Jenkins. She says, good evening, my Outlaw family and brother Robert. Are those the filters that they gave away at Metcalf or in Metcalf a couple weeks ago? I don't know if there's a filter.
Yes, there was a filter. Yeah, there were NSF 53 filters being given away. Yes.
Okay. Kerry Walker Jones said it makes sense, right? When we're talking about the correlation between how out of control our youth or a large amount of our youth appear to be in terms of their antisocial behavior. Dion in the chat room. Well, Earl said kidney dialysis. I don't know what his reference is. He's referring. Is that a side effect of lead poisoning too?
Yes, lead not only affects the brain and behavior and thinking and logical reasoning and all that stuff, but it also affects other organs in your body. And he's absolutely right. It affects kidneys. There are studies that show that it affects the heart, can give you heart disease. Lead is just a tragic, toxic neurological danger to our community that we have to really, as a community, start putting more attention to and removing it. And I think if we get together a very powerful voice to tell our elected leaders, take this thing out of our community, it'll take some time, but eventually we will see, and I believe by 20 to 30% reduction, and not only in educational failure, but improvement of safety in our streets.
Okay. Now, Kerry Walker Jones says, so if schizophrenia is hereditary, the correlation between inherited mental illness and all of the kids drinking the same water, not acting the same, makes sense. It's normal to have multiple fathers in one household. So some of the kids in the same home may not have the mental illness that is enhanced by the lead. Yeah, well, that's what, to make a long story short, when you go to mixing up baby daddies, right? Like, I don't, just to put that out there, right? Like, you got to vet the candidates, right? But so if we go back to this whole discussion, you sent me a graphic, and I don't know if this is the graphic because you asked me to put this up. So I wanted to share my screen and show you, and maybe you can explain this graphic that you sent. Give me a second while I work with my machinery. Okay, so let me see if I can pull it up. I don't think this is it. I don't think that's it at all. Hold on. Let me go back because it's okay. Here it is. Okay, it's saying it can't access it. Hold on. Let me bring it back. Yeah, just when you get on the air, you'll just start messing up, right? Like, no, don't even finna do that.
And I got it. High tech.
I was, but I've shared it before. Don't act like I ain't never did.
I'm like, okay, Kev.
Clown me, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I don't know what you're doing, right? No, man, it's not the case. Hold on. Give me a second, because Robert sent this stuff to me, and I was looking at it. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So, can y'all see this? Let me make sure I'm sharing again, y'all. You got to push buttons, man.
Yeah,
tell your kids to go to school.
We don't see nothing.
I know. I can see. It's not allowing me. Okay, here we go. Y'all can see this, right?
Hey, don't care.
All right.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So
Can you
Robert,
zoom
I'm
in?
gonna try to. Yeah, I'm gonna try. Give me a second. Give me a
Oh, my
second.
bad.
Black
My
people gonna be
bad.
playing, man. Joyce, you can't see that shit, man.
That's how I be in the meetings at work. Can you zoom in? Can we see that? Thank you.
I would hate to be in a meeting with you. Like, why don't you be quiet? He gonna do it. All right, can y'all see this better now?
No.
Still can't see it, huh? I tried to enlarge it, so you still can't see that? That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm gonna get it done. You best believe that. I'm gonna try to make it bigger, Robert. But this is it basically talks about MHD expenses. And
Right.
it talks about who spent what. So I wanted to kind of give you a chance to explain this if my computer would treat me right, but it's not treating me right now. So, but if you wanted to explain what you sent me, because I know you have a copy of it, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up again over here with me.
Okay.
And so that way I can see it a little better because I don't have really good eyes. But basically, what it shows in there is that this is the kind of money that they are spending in regards to the Milwaukee Health Department needs. Now they talk about their budget from 2000. It shows the budget from 2019 to 2023. And FTE is basically full time employees and things like that, and where they're getting their money from grants, reimbursables, and capital. And you can see that in the years 2021, 2022, 2020, there was a bump. You see the bump, right, from 2019. In 2019, when they got the grants that they got in 2019, they got about what, $10 million. Well, again, those are those COVID dollars. Those are those ARP dollars, and that came in 2020, 2021, 2022. So the grants bumped up, and they were able to get a lot of that money to go and do the services as a Milwaukee Health Department with the help of those grants. But now, when you go to 2023, the grants are running low and the money is running out. Well, we have been advocating and saying just because the money is running out and the money is running low doesn't mean that the job has been completed. We still have a lot to do. You should find more ways to keep that money at the levels that you have had since 2020. And the way they could do that is by cutting back on a lot of those vanity projects that they're doing downtown. They've got all kinds of future plans to invest tens of millions of dollars to do things downtown. Now, I love dogs and I really care about dogs. But do we really need a nice, fancy, expensive dog park downtown? Ain't there enough places around the city that people could take their dogs?
But
Well,
I don't know if that's really for us. That's for the gentrifiers, right? So they like their schnitzel.
exactly. You're getting the point. You're
Right.
getting the point. So you see that the money, unless it comes from the federal government or unless it comes from the state, the city isn't going to invest its own money because a lot of the city money is going to those kinds of projects,
Okay.
rather than taking the city money and putting it towards helping elevate the environmental health of our communities, of our neighborhoods, and doing what it needs to be doing to improve the situation in MPS.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so again, we're going back now since the grants are running out and all that money that was coming in from the feds is going down. We're getting back down to the levels that once again we're not going to be thinking about doing what needs to be done to reach 2037. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking that in about 5 to 7 years, because there isn't going to be that much money, we're going to slowly hear them start talking about, Well, we're going to probably have to go beyond 2037 because we don't have enough money in order to achieve our goal of 2037.
So
And this,
can you explain one part of this chart for me? And I want to scroll up. I hope people can see it. If you can't, you got to get on full, like you got to like increase this. If you're watching on your phone, you ain't gonna be able to see this, right? It says
right, I gotta
operations.
go out of the phone to go ahead and get it.
Well, I'm sharing, so if people who are watching the show, they can see it, but they may. I'm looking at my phone. There's no way I can see it, but if I'm on my laptop, I can see it very clearly. It says MHD operations are funded through city operations and maintenance, grants, and to a lesser extent, reimbursable O&M is also known as the tax levy. So this says MHD expenditures by funding source. So at the bottom, it says total expenses. And in 2023, it had risen from 27 million to 42 million. So what does this represent? What went up? And so I'm trying to figure out who's putting the most money towards this and who's slacking and falling back, like you said.
Well, the money that you're talking about there probably is dealing with the fact that they did hire more individuals to work at the Milwaukee Health Department at that time.
Okay.
And so if you look at the FTE, that's again full-time employees, you'll see at the FTE that the number of employees rose. So a lot of that money went to probably cover those salaries.
Okay. So the spending, because you know what they'll say the spending has increased, right? We're spending more money than we ever have. And, this is all much to do about nothing. So I just want to say, if they could spend that on us and say, no, we're actually spending more money, because they did that with MPS for a long time and said, we say MPS is underfunded, but if you look at it, we actually spend more money per student in MPS than anybody else. But you had to take into account the expenditures of running the largest school system in the state. And when you looked at how much of that money was actually dedicated to children, it was minimal. But to put a kid through MPS included all of the extra expenses that they incurred. So it was kind of like twisting.
Well, it's the largest system. It's the largest system that handles the largest number of special needs kids too.
Exactly.
And that's a very expensive operation.
Absolutely.
And so, they can spend it all they want. But, if people took the time to look at the data, study it, talk to the people who are willing to share the knowledge and give them the information, I think that people would be able to see all of the bamboozling that's going on by these folks, and all this attempt to lie to the community, and then get this thing back on track the way it should be. But because they are used to giving us all the flim flam, they'll continue to do so until someone comes along or a group comes along and holds them accountable, and then they start making a little bit of change here and there. But unless it's consistent, or unless the group doesn't sell out to them or get co-opted by them, we'll be back to where we started from.
But not every, because I want to make this clear too. Initially, they said not every neighborhood in the city had a lead pipe lateral. It was predicated by neighborhoods that were built before a certain time. So you said Milwaukee Outlaws in 1962. So I thought that they said if you lived in an area that was, the laterals were constructed before 1955, you didn't have, after 1962, if it was built, you didn't have this. But even those kids who maybe didn't live in those areas, if you went to an MPS building, we know you're in elementary school, what you want to do. You want to go get some water from the water bubbler. So they were totally, just consistently drinking this water. So for people
or if you visit your family at a home that have lead pipes and stay with them over the weekend or stay with them for a week or so, the kids are drinking that water. And
it was specific neighborhoods that were most heavily affected by this. I believe there was a portion of the south side,
right,
and a portion of the north side.
Right. The pretty much most of the north side, except going a little bit, except going northwest, saw a lot of the lead pipes being put there. Right. Yeah. And then a lot of neighborhoods around the UWM area as well. And then when you go to the south side, the Bayview, Walker's Point, Lincoln Village neighborhoods, all those areas there had heavy construction of lead pipes being put in them back in the between 1880 to about 1940, 1950. Now,
But for people who want to just say, "Oh, this is what they did to black people," no, this is racist. That's why they won't fix it. I don't know if they understand. You just named off some pretty white communities, so it's a problem that everybody needs to be, aware of, not just.
Hey, and when Shorewood found out they had that problem, you saw what they did.
That's right.
You know, Shorewood got up off their. Shorewood thought it was just a black problem.
Mm-hmm.
And when they found out they had a lot of lead pipes, they had meetings, they did their thing, and now they're doing big time removal of lead pipes in Shorewood.
Madison did it years ago.
Madison did it years ago too, exactly. And then Green Bay and all the other cities around the state that are majority white have been on a tear to remove these lead pipes long before 2037.
That's right.
But here in Milwaukee, because we have, we have groups out there that like to partner up with government and like to partner up and hobnob and they'll rub elbows and be invited to steak dinners. They like, okay, yeah, I can live with 2037.
Right. So if what FLAC does and how you all are organizing and becoming trying to get people polarized and mobilized, how can people support FLAC? How can people support what you do when you all come out and say we're gonna? Because I know you've invited me to several events and I don't really move like I used to, so I'm pretty much now I don't come not because I don't care, but I'm just pretty, I'm in my lab like a mad scientist a lot of times cooking up formulas. So tell people how they can support you. If somebody's listening right now and they say I want to know more about this problem, how do I contact this brother?
Well, you can always email me at r.miranda414@att.net. You can always look me up on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. You can reach out to me there, message me, add me as a friend. Or you can go to the website, Get the Lead Out Coalition. And you can always read updates there. And you can always go to the website, National Campaign for Lead-Free Water. National Campaign for Lead-Free Water. And that'll give you all of the information and updates on what we talk about. But the biggest thing that we ask people to do, I normally hold teach-ins, I normally hold educational forums, but what I ask people to do is to please look up the information themselves. Look up the information themselves, read it, get knowledgeable, understand. See, one of the things I wanted to bring up today real quick is people have to understand that when we talk about lead being in water, during these months now in the summer, especially during the time when there are heat waves, when the air out is like 90, 95 degrees and it get real hot and the sun is beating down, we know that the pipes usually are about 6 feet underground. Now, they're like that because in a winter, the earth radiates heat from bottom up and helps keep the pipes warm so they don't freeze, and we have a lot more water main breaks. But the reason why we have so many is because the pipes are so old. Well, nobody thinks about that in the summer. In the summer, when it gets real hot, the heat radiates from the street down. So when you have warmth covering the pipes already coming up from the under part of the ground, and then you got heat coming down from the top of the street, warming up the pipes, that warms up the water. Now, you said earlier, don't boil the lead because that creates a problem. Well, when the water gets warmer, the water tends to increase the flow of lead leaching into the water when they have lead pipes.
Okay.
And so that's why they say run the water until it get cold. But when the water is really warm, And usually in the summer, when you run it, it cools off, but it doesn't get as cold as it should be. When it gets warm, you should really be using filters. And that's the kind of information that the city should be putting out there to people. When you have a heat wave, especially a heat wave that may go like 3, 4, 5 days, that is constantly heating the streets, warming up the roads, and heating up the ground and warming up that water. And when you run the water, it's like a lukewarm kind of water. That's kind of water that is ripe for lead pipes to release more soluble lead, because warm water helps corrosion process of the pipe moves faster.
Okay.
And so that's why they always say run it till it's cold. Cold water is good. Cold water is what is needed. It won't stop the leaching of lead, cold water, but you won't have as much lead in the water as you would when the water is warmer. And so people, read up on this stuff and get yourself knowledgeable and spread the word and give the information to your people and give them the number one priority in our community. And to get the politicians in our community to listen to you is to mandate the use of filters in homes that have lead pipes.
So let me ask you this: in all your conversations, and we always want to know what the people who are downtown that are supposedly representing us, where they stand. So are there any politicians or elected officials who champion this kind of like aggressive approach to this? Have any of them come to you and say, hey, I support you and I would like to, and even when they run, have any of them run on, hey, let's deal with this? Like I would think because you talk to these people. So what do you get when you go in front of these elected officials and you give them all this information? Is there some support, or are they just saying, well, we still think it's the paint? Who's on your side?
That's exactly what they always say.
All of them.
All of them. They always go with what the bureaucrats tell them. And let me tell you, the bureaucrats are lying to them. They're giving them a bunch of nonsense. Here's an example of one of the biggest lies that they're out there telling. In January, after the MPS crisis was really getting hot in the media, the health commissioner, Tortorius, he tells the CNN and he tells the public that lead paint, soil, and dust is a big issue in Milwaukee because in Milwaukee we have 200,000 homes that are affected by lead paint, soil, and dust. And that is a complete lie. That is a lie. And and the reason why I know that's a lie is because back in 2017, former health commissioner Bevan Baker, during a meeting of the Public Health and Safety Committee, said that Milwaukee at that time currently had 130,000 homes with lead paint problems. And then I know that's a lie on a second point, because in 2022, I had email conversations with the Deputy Commissioner of Environmental Health, Tyler Weber, and I asked him, well, since we had 130,000 homes of lead paint-based poisoning going on in Milwaukee, how many are we down to now? And he agreed with me that we are at about 123 to 125,000. Now, where did this commissioner get 200,000 from? Where did that automatically show up? And again, it goes to floating the lie that water is not the problem. Because if you could inflate the number of homes and say that's the issue, lead, paint, and dust, and we have 200,000 homes, well, damn, that's a lot of houses that's poisoning our families and our community with lead paint. And nobody's going to question that. But I've been challenging that now for the last couple of months, and none of them want to answer me. And I've been sending them open records requests. I just recently, last week, finally, after asking, got data. I'm looking over the data, and I ain't seeing nowhere near 200,000 homes having lead paint dust issues.
Okay.
That's a complete lie. And so they're listening to these bureaucrats, but these bureaucrats are not giving them the facts, which they should on their own get the facts. And all they have to do is to confirm the facts, is go to the Legislative Reference Bureau and ask the Bureau to do the research and give them the information straight.
Okay. So then we talk about the problems. We love to talk about the problems. So we always try on Outlaw Radio to remain solution oriented. And you just told us if for a person, for an individual, they can purchase water filters, and there are correct water filters. But I still want, because I heard you say you wanted to get this voice. You wanted to get the voice of the people somehow unified so that it'll be a stronger voice. And so that's why I'm asking if people want to, if we want to just do one big push, like if we want to say, okay, Robert, we're going to put all of us are going to get behind you. And we're going to push for this. Once again, what is the main way people can say, next time you do an event, a press conference, whatever you're doing, I want to be there. What is the main way? Is it Facebook that they can just hit you on Facebook and say what's going on? Or is there a website?
Yes, that's the main way. Right now, I'm putting together some of this data, putting information together, because I want to make sure that when we do make our move, I want to make sure that we do like we did when we were after Barrett's people. And that is, that information has to be solid, rock solid, accurate, so that it doesn't give them any wiggle room to lie and deceive and mislead the people.
The good old days.
Exactly.
The good old days when we held people feet to the fire, man. I miss those days.
Hey, man, there's a reason why he skedaddled. And he and his administration fell apart, and it wasn't because we were being nice about it.
Yeah, I mean, during my time when I was saying, no, I'm finna hit the streets, right? Like I can't do it from the studio, so I know firsthand that there was a lot of pressure being applied. But I want to, once again, if you all want to reach Robert Miranda, please go to his Facebook page. If you have any questions. Now I know that there was some sort of announcement or press conference that was held, and I remember you had told me about it, and I had a prior commitment, but I remember Vince Toney was so pissed about it, right? But what is Vince not pissed about, right? Vince is the agitator, right? Like, he was pissed because he felt like that thing didn't go in the same direction as like what you just spoke about prior to, when you would go to these press conferences and these events, there was fire coming through the microphone. There was this like serious passion. It felt like, and it was led by us, the people in the community, with some verification and some validation from experts. He felt like this was just talking head experts, and the people didn't really get to speak on this. Now you know what I'm talking about.
That was something that I didn't, or any of our groups organized. It was a matter that was organized by a different set of our groups that were getting involved, wanted support, and they were on target. They understood the issue, and so we gave them support, and we showed up to give them support. But I understand where some of the brothers and Vince and others are coming from. Right now, we're dealing with an administration that witnessed the fall of Barrett administration and understand our tactics and understand our strategy. And the best way to beat an enemy that understands you is to make sure that you have overwhelming power and strength. And the way you have that in this situation is you have to have your data, you have to have your arguments, you have to have your science on point and irrefutable. And when you speak from the data, the science, and the information that is credible. And once we get out there to go ahead and speak our truth and lay out that fire, it's going to be information that the city hall, like Barrett, cannot refute, and eventually is going to have to acquiesce to.
Okay. Now, just that whole spirit of activism that had just taken over Milwaukee has dissipated, and we've spoken on this before, and for various reasons. I mean, when you have organizations that don't work well together and everybody's siloed, and then you can come in and offer this organization a grant or this one funding, and and this one you just kind of isolate and say, nah, because we want you to go away. And so a lot happened, but I just wish that we could get back to, because I think right now, and this is the thing, we just talked about this with our mayor on a lot of these issues. I don't hear comprehensive planning. I don't hear or see think outside the box leadership. I hear government by numbers. I see, I'm going to be affable. I'm going to be a nice guy. I'm going to smile. I'm going to say the same thing that every politician that has come before me has said, in particular with the violence, right? And so that's what I focus on. And we talk about that a lot. And we try to add this about the water, but I feel like you get kind of the same kind of, push off that we do, in that when you bring up the violence and you bring up, how bad it's actually gotten, you get spent. We call it getting spent in the Black community, because they're going to deflect and then they're going to come back with something totally different. So the onus is now to say to the community, yeah, we understand crime is bad and we understand that there's an issue, but we need y'all to be more responsible. We need y'all to help us. It sounds the same with the pain, which you're saying, yeah, we got a problem here, but y'all ain't watching y'all kids. Y'all letting them eat paint chips. So it always comes back to, this is y'all fault. We just here, right? Like we're doing what we're supposed to do. And I'm like, well, you're not, right? So it's another issue. I did a show called A Hot Mess last week, and I talked about how Milwaukee is entirely that, especially during this summer where it's been unusually warm, a hot ass mess. That nothing in Milwaukee that is an office, that is a commission, that is a department functions like it should. And you get down to even the transit system has a $20 million deficit. But there's no effective leadership in none of our major organizations. And I'm like,
and that's the point. I was just about to say that. You hit it right on the head. Leadership in a lot of these agencies and a lot of these departments in government is missing. What happened at MPS shouldn't have happened at all. And the bottom line is, nobody was doing the work to ensure that the work that was supposed to be done to protect our children was being done. A lot of the data shows that there were reports that were improperly filled. For example, filters weren't properly changed right. In some cases, never changed at all. And so you got people in leadership position that are just happy showing up to work, getting a cup of coffee, sit behind desk, and then clock out at 5 o'clock and come back the next day to do the same thing. And there's a lot of that going on in leadership positions here, where no one is taking a real active role in making sure that the work that's supposed to be done is being done.
Okay. And so I do want to ask you this too, and out of respect for your time, I had you for an hour. You're welcome to stay as long as you want. I know you're a busy man, but do you think this is a question of, oh, well, they don't care about the people, you have a callous attitude, who cares what happens to them? Or is it really about liability? Because for them, I say the same thing about reparations, and this is why we have a challenge with reparations. For them to admit that, okay, we dropped the ball, right? Don't drop the ball, make the call. When you say, okay, we have been negligent in our handling of this, and we should have done something a long time ago, then I feel like people who can go then get tested and say, my child has severe, I have it, all of us have lead poisoning, there's liability. So that means a class action lawsuit of $200-300 million can come down and break the bank. Or is it, like I said, is it that we don't want to be liable because it can cost us so much? Or forget these people, let them eat cake? Which one? Which one do you think?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think it's the liability and it's the fact that the people, as long as they stay silent, as long as they don't say nothing, as long as they don't know what they're talking about, they ain't gonna concern themselves with it. Okay. And so, but yeah, I think it's a mixture of both. But when you talk about class action lawsuits on this thing, people need to look up the fact that in Wisconsin, the class action lawsuit has been diluted. It's been watered down. It's not really an effective tool for us. They took that away from us, the Republicans did. Okay. And they took that, and a class action lawsuit doesn't bring much of any compensatory, punitive, or otherwise that any law firm would say, I'll take this case. As a matter of fact, we know, because we have approached many different law firms nationally, statewide, and locally, and they said, you really, your class action lawsuits in Wisconsin isn't worth our budget to spend the money that we would need to win these cases. Wow. And so that's where the problem is with class action lawsuits. And I know a lot of people say, let's do but in Wisconsin, the Republicans screwed us on class action lawsuits.
So if we could do a study, and now that I'm thinking about this should have been what I did with my dissertation, my doctoral dissertation. But if we can just do a study, a case study, if you will, and take these kids who went to these MPS schools over, 5-year period, and test them and show, right? And show there is a serious cognitive disability amongst this group. And we can directly connect it to water. We still wouldn't have the grounds to go against the city of Milwaukee and say this is negligence on the part of the city and mishandling. And man, that's crazy. I would think
not as a class action lawsuit. Now, I would tell people that if you want to sue, do it individually. Get the medical records, get all the medical records you can, get all the evidence you can, and let your lawyer deal with that individually. Sue them individually.
The class action, right?
Instead of like the class action. Yeah.
So I could launch a civil lawsuit if my son or daughter had these. I could go and say, let's do a civil lawsuit.
Right. If you could first show that the school your child attended, for example, was one of these schools that had lead issues and they closed down, and your child has been having lead poisoning issues that are above the limit that the Centers for Disease Control put out there at 3.5, and you could show that you don't have lead in your house, you don't have lead pipes, and your family doesn't have lead pipes in their homes, and the only place they could possibly have gotten it is from the school. You get all that information together, you get all that medical reports together, and you as a family go see that lawyer and see what that lawyer says to you in regards to possibly taking your case and suing for your family or suing for you individually.
Now, what's the main thing? Like I said, I want to respect your time. What is the main thing you want to tell people here tonight? If they're listening and they say, I didn't know that, or man, I need to look into this. What's the main thing you would want them to know?
Again, I am stressing to everybody in our community, in our city, you have lead pipes, get filters. Don't drink water or cook with your water if you have lead pipes in your home or lead pipes connecting from the water main to your house. That is the most dangerous hazard you could put your family through if you are just using that water without filters.
So how would someone know if they live in an area that has them, if they started the removal? Like, is there a website people can go to and say,
yes,
look up my neighborhood? Where's that website? Yes.
That website is actually on the Milwaukee Waterworks page.
Okay. Oh.
So you go to Milwaukee Waterworks and you look up lead. They have an icon there for lead. They actually have a spot there where it tells you what house has lead pipes and what house doesn't. Okay. So you just go to that website, put your address in there, and it'll show if you have lead pipes or not.
My brother, Robert Miranda, you have always come on and just been super informative with this information. So I appreciate you. And the fact that you stuck to it this long, to me, it proves your dedication to it. If I have any questions, I would always defer to you. So I want to thank you for, reaching out saying, hey, let's get on Outlaw Radio. And because, everybody don't pay attention to our little thingamajig we got going on over here. So I appreciate that. And once again, I want to tell people, if you want to know more about this, there's plenty of websites you can go to. But in Milwaukee, and especially in particular, if you've heard him on this show, reach out to this brother on Facebook and just say, hey, Brother Miranda, I want to support FLAC. How do I do so? And get started, get the information, and he'll lead you to all the websites. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to.
I'll be happy to pass on the information to you and get you knowledgeable. So the more people we have that are knowledgeable on this issue, the better our community is going to be on being able to share mouth to mouth, face to face to each individual the information that is needed for them to take the precautionary measures they need to take and to protect their families from this harm.
Appreciate you as always, man. Thank you for coming through, rocking with us, man. You are a true outlaw, man. You're one of the outlaw families. You already know that, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate being on this platform as always.
Yes, sir. Whenever you want to come back, man, just hit me up. You know, it ain't nothing to me. If you ever said to me, Kev, I want to come, I'm like, yeah, okay, let's go. Let's do it. So whenever you want to come back, man, come on back, man. Appreciate you.
All right, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you all.
Peace,
Take
peace,
care.
peace. Yes, sir. All right, man. Give it up for brother Robert Miranda, man. Friend of the show. Hey, man. Kamar, sometimes the people just need information, brother. Sometimes, you know, it ain't about being fabulous or being hood or street or representing some kind of code. It's like, what's the raw data? So we can, I'm glad we have people that rock with us on Outlaw Radio. Robert is one of those individuals who will come in and give us
what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up, man. How you doing, my brother? How you doing this evening, man? We didn't get to chop it up in the beginning of the show. You good, man? You tight?
Hey, man, yeah, I'm good, man. I just want that information to be disseminated.
It's all good. It's all good. I mean, people go back and I'll share the show a million times. See, that's what I said, you know, as you get older and you mature, the information that you look for starts to change, right? So we look for less information about love and hip hop and Scrappy versus Mendices and start looking at this property tax levy and start looking at the water and trying to figure out who's what and who's doing what. So, you know, that's that grown folks information.
Start thinking more healthy.
Yeah. And you know what it says in the Bible, when I became a man, I put away such childish things, right? And so that's just the evolution of your frontal lobe, if you will. I think that's the one, right? That's the one.
The frontal lobe. That's right. That's the frontal lobe is what connects you to your spiritual self.
There we go. I knew I was right about something. I knew.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Earl Henning said they have to go. It's just another example of when politicians are not held accountable and they can move and maneuver and do all the kinds of things that they do and nobody's there to check them. Ascot Jones in the chat room. Shout out to my cousin Ascot Jones. I say this all the time. Go and get my cousin's book right here. Go and get it. Your mindset is your greatest liability. By my cousin. His name is Breon Worthy, but we just call him Bree, right? And you know, once again, go and get the book. I believe it's on Amazon. Hit him up on Facebook. Your mindset is your greatest liability. It's a great book, man. It's a dope piece of reading about growing up in the hood, right? Cubes say that they don't know, don't show, I don't care what's going on in the hood. So come on, a lot of stuff happened, man. And you know, we had a dope show Monday. And we just kind of went down the rabbit hole talking about parenthood and what we need to do, because we are always, I should say, reflecting on what's going on with our youth. But, you know, other things happen culturally. And I want to start out with the death of Hulk Hogan. Okay. And why am I going to start out with the death of Hulk Hogan? I'm going to tell people why. I, like every other child who grew up in the 80s, there was a period, and some people might not know this, and not old enough. There was a period of time when professional wrestling became the biggest thing going, right? And in particular, the WWF, right? Larger than life characters, over the top, all of the things that Americans love: violence, drama, you know, special effects, explosions, heroes and villains. And so out of this smoke came Vince McMahon, who revolutionized the way professional wrestling was even presented, and it just became almost a national pastime. And the biggest star of that era was Hulk Hogan. Early on in my childhood, when I looked at Hulk Hogan, what I thought was that, like, the reason I loved wrestling when I was a kid is like, these are like real life superheroes, right? Like, they jump off the turnbuckle. You can break a chair over his head, and the crowd start cheering. He gonna get more pumped up. He gonna come back and he gonna win the day for the good guys, right? Because in wrestling, there's heels and there's baby faces, good guys and bad guys, right? And so Hulk Hogan was the biggest thing going in wrestling for a very long time. And to me, the whole kind of biker aesthetic always made me think, does he really like black people? This is me as a little kid. This is how bad I was, Kamar. I said he looked like a biker. And I was taught that bikers and greasers didn't like us. That's what my mom, shout out to my mama, that's what she used to tell us. We didn't know about anything. As a matter of fact, for a very long time, if you're not aware, wrestling operated on a principality called kayfabe, right? Which meant you kept the fact that it wasn't real a total secret. So if you were a good guy and another cat was a bad guy, y'all couldn't be seen in public together. Y'all couldn't even like be friends, like pictures of you hanging out at his house or no, you had to keep it up. Nobody would say that the matches are predetermined. Nobody would say that it's orchestrated sports entertainment. It looked real sometimes, and sometimes you'd be like, that shit look fake. Okay. So they held a lot of things undercover. We didn't know. We didn't know what was going on. But fast forward to many years later, and at this time I was an adult, the reports came out that Hulk Hogan had got caught in a controversy making racist comments. Okay. And there are many black wrestlers over the years. I think Booker T is one of them who stated that Hulk Hogan was a racist, and it was known that he was a racist. We had no clue, Kamar. Once again, this is one of those things where us young black children bought as much apparel, watched the shows, went to see the live shows. We helped to create this $1 billion industry and this $1 billion dude, not knowing the whole time he ain't like us, right? His daughter mysteriously not mysteriously, but she was trying to break into the music industry when he had the reality show. And, she at that time, hip hop was like the monster. So it wasn't really, if you want to really hit it, you jumped in with hip hop artists. And I remember her, on the show, they made a point of her musical career, and I guess she started dating a black dude. And so Hulk Hogan comes on. This is just one of his incidents, which he said, I don't want my daughter. Who wants their daughter dating a nigger? Right? Like, this is horrible. I don't want a nigger in my family, but I will tell her if she's going to date a nigger, I hope he's one of those 6'9", 7 feet niggers, one of those NBA niggers, right? And his usage of the word nigger was hard R, super callous, and there was some other things, some recordings. But what kills it is he started this beer brand. Who's an avid Trump supporter as well, which in my mind says a lot if you're a white person and an older white person, right? He starts this beer company, and he initially they hired a young sister for one of their executive positions. She was summarily fired for no reason other than the fact that she was a minority. And she was fired by Hulk Hogan, right? Well, he died last week. Black people went crazy. Black people.
Before you go any farther, I also read that they didn't like him in that wrestling shit. Like the other wrestlers and shit, they despised dude. They Absolutely. Said he used to try to pull all kind of strings, say who could be champion and who couldn't, and all type of shit like that. His own personal benefit gain.
That's a good point. You're right. A lot of wrestlers.
Yeah, he was loud. He was a loud dude.
I've watched a lot of wrestling. The show that comes on Vice, Behind the Ring or The Dark Side of the Ring, is one of my favorite shows. But you're right. A lot of wrestlers have said, number one, because wrestling was at that time such a grueling sport, right? They wanted to unionize because they were, in terms of medical care and all this kind of stuff, these dudes got none. As a matter of fact, most of those wrestlers from that era died young.
Yeah.
And they're still dying, right? We find out now that the drugs and the steroids and, WWE was taking the task, and Hulk had to testify, but he testified on behalf of Vince McMahon so that Vince wouldn't lose the ship, right? And so you're right. That's a good point to make. So it ain't just about him. Yeah, he's racist, but he was also a known asshole as well, right?
He's a lousy motherfucker all around the board.
You take some of the remarks his daughter has made since he's passed, right? Which is crazy. But he passed away. The controversy became because black people went buck like we do on social media. You got to give it up. Black people might not have a collective voice that rings out, in the right places so that it'll affect legislation, but we will kill some shit on social media with memes and jokes. And I seen so many black people like, fuck him, he was a racist. Fuck him, he was a racist. Some people said he apologized. Some people said he was unapologetic. And there's some people say, I didn't even know he was racist, right? I didn't even know he said that. So I wanted to get your take on it because we always say respect the dead, Kamar. And that's something I was raised to say, we respect the dead. You don't really, let that man rest in peace.
Sometimes to respect the dead, you don't have to say about him.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You don't have to say rest in peace.
Right.
You just don't have to mention him.
But is it cool for you to say I could care less because he was racist?
Just because I thought he was a good dude when I got older, I found out he was a dirtbag. You know what I mean? I don't have to acknowledge it. I ain't gonna say nothing bad about him other than what anybody else has said. Man, that's about it. I ain't shit. After I grew up to him, I ain't got nothing good to say about him.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like what else other good can we say about him other than we grew up watching?
Yeah, because any message that he tried to sell was lost once we found out that this was all fabricated stories and there was all kind of predetermined in it. But I also want to say the first time, because I grew up, my mom loved cowboy movies, right? And so I used to watch a lot of John Wayne movies.
Right.
And during the time I grew up when syndication first hit, I also watched a lot of Elvis Presley movies, right? Because this shit would like be on TV, right? I'm a little kid. Until my mom told me one time, she was like, Elvis Presley was a racist. Do not play that shit in this house, right? And then she told us John Wayne was racist.
Most of them motherfuckers back then.
Most of them. But John Wayne was worse, Kamar. Because when I found out, see, there's I think 1970, maybe 5 article in Playboy magazine where they interview him. And he lays it out. If you read this article, you will say, motherfucker. I mean, he's saying, I don't care about black people. I think they should have remained in slavery. I don't think they were worthy of freedom. I don't think they deserve any rights because they're still savages. It was just crazy. And so we say right now with ease, fuck John Wayne. And he's dead. Some people say Elvis wasn't racist. We found out that a black man wrote most of his big hits. He didn't really get credit. And basically what Elvis did was emulate our style, right? He walked into a juke joint and said, I'm finna do this shit. He was Vanilla Ice before Vanilla Ice. He was Eminem before Eminem. And so my mother's famous quote was that he would say, the only thing a nigga can do for me is shine my shoes and buy my records. I don't know where she got that quote from, but it apparently was prevalent in the black community. So any person who was racist, any person who was found to be discriminatory or bigoted or just a real, like we said, just a real asshole, when they perish, that doesn't mean we have to say, well, I'm not going to say nothing about that because he dead. Right. And so I seen Michael Rappaport, who's tried to, and this is the bad thing about culture vultures. When we allow somebody to come to the cookout, Kamar, when we allow them to come to the cookout, they start feeling too fucking comfortable. And so I seen Michael Rappaport come out talking about, we're not going to disrespect the holster. The holster was this and the holster was that. But he's talking to us. Now he's Jewish. Anytime anybody say anything about Jews, he on their ass with a gangster lean. Right. But for us, it's no, we ain't gonna do it because he was the Hulk. And then come to find out that he talking about, well, I didn't even know he said what he said. This is the problem when we allow culture vultures to come in. Let me go to the chat room. Ashcott Jones, yes, he's putting his website up so you can get that book. It is www.worthybespoke.com. Please pick up my cousin's book.
Hey.
And right here.
And, hey, hold on though, but also, you ain't talking bad about them if you talking about who they were,
right? It's not disrespectful.
You talking bad about him because if you was talking about the good stuff he did, you know what I mean. That's the same thing. You talking about what they did,
right?
You talking about the legacy they left,
right? Well, that's who you were. That's who you were.
It's his fault.
That's who you were. I ain't lying. What you say? Tell me when I'm lying.
Right. Stop me when I'm lying.
Right. So it's what I'm saying. I just get tired of people trying to tell us as foundational Black Americans how we should feel about the slights, about somebody being backhanded or doing us being like when they were allowed to do it and it was popular. Not that they've stopped, but at this point, that
was the problem I was having. That was the problem I was having with the white dude that night. You know what I mean? I'm like, why is he even talking about our issues to us? You know what I'm saying? Like, who gave you the right to talk to us about our issues?
I've asked him. I've asked Scott Epicet and any other person who would speak foul. Like if I put a Facebook post up and somebody comes on and it's a white dude, and I'll say, why are you here? Right. I mean, because if you don't like us,
why are you here?
Why are you here? You're just trolling. So you're just trolling. So
Because you
yeah,
don't find us on your page trolling.
I think the fact that with
So why
Joseph
the fuck?
Walker,
Hey, listen though. We ain't on their pages trolling. So why the
no,
fuck you over here trolling? You
right?
ain't got nothing to do. And he gonna hey, listen, and he tell me I ain't got nothing to do, right?
you on TikTok begging these.
Yeah.
Now with him, I would say he felt, and I think inside he feels that since he's been on a long time ago when I first started, and we did bring him on to support what he was dealing with being shot up by the police, right?
And that's what we talked about. So let's
Right.
keep it at that, motherfucker.
But I think he feels like a kinship to the show because of that.
Right. Nah.
You know? Because he, like I said, when he converses with myself, I don't get any of that. But I don't believe in divide and conquer, because you can't appeal to me and say, well, Kevin, you're different. Or Kevin, no,
Right.
I'm not talking about you. Hey, if you
He
talk about
you
my
a house nigga when he do.
well, if you talking about my people, you talking about me.
Right. But I'm talking about when he say, Kevin, you're different. He calling you a house nigga.
That's why I don't buy that shit. That's why I don't buy that shit. Because in the same breath, you'll be saying you're just like the rest of those.
Hey, listen. Whenever a white person tell you different than all the other black people, they calling you a house nigga in so many words.
There's one that's worse.
What's
you
that?
speak so well. You speak so well.
Right.
And listen, my wife and I talk about this all the time when we were in undergrad up in white folks' land, right? Because we went to PWIs, right? And you would speak in class, and I've been in some of these classes where it might be 50 kids, and I'm the only black dude.
Right.
So if I say one thing, everybody in the class turns around and looks at me. And so I would have to do this might be speech. It might be a project where I got to get up and talk. Almost to a person, they would all say, Kevin, you speak very well, right? And I thought that it was just because, okay, I'm a big black football player. They probably think we all musclehead dummies. Until my wife said, no, I get the same shit. When I'm in class, like white people, they think that's a compliment when it's really a backhanded insult. Oh, you speak so well, as opposed to what? What the fuck are you talking about?
And I get it. All of them probably don't know it's an insult. You know what I mean? Because they don't know no better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is an insult.
It's backhanded. It's passive aggressive. It's a microaggression.
Right.
Earl Henny said water is killing in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and they know it. Shout out to Robert Miranda, who just left. Y'all go back and watch the show if you want to hear Robert Miranda kick the ballistics about the water. Mama Jenkins said watching wrestling was a family thing. Our parents took us to wrestling at the auditorium. We had ringside seats. That's dope. And, like I said, my mom, when she came here a long time ago, 1959, I believe she said she came here. She was a teenager. She had a younger cousin. And that she told me this. That's what his favorite thing was to go to the auditorium to see wrestling. Because, that was the explosion of television. And so she went. So by the time I got old enough, I remember my dad and I would watch wrestling on a Saturday night, and we'd be geeked. Like, oh.
Well, if you was a boy, you watch wrestling coming.
And you emulated it, right?
You know what I mean? If you was a boy, yeah, right. And you emulated it with your cousins and shit. Well, my cousins. No brothers, but my cousins and shit. Me and dude, I'm pile driving dude off the bunk bed.
All that shit. Jumping off the couch on the fool. I'm Junkyard Dog. I'm Junkyard Dog. Why you always get to be Junkyard Dog? Because you always had to be the black wrestler, right? Nobody ever said they was Hulk. Nobody.
Right. Straight up. Junkyard Dog was the one.
I'm Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, fool. Like, it's like, we watched that stuff, man.
Superfly Jimmy Snooker.
Man, Superfly, right? Craziness.
It was always somebody motherfucker come flying. And shit,
that's his excuse to jump off some shit on you, right? But I'm Jimmy. I can do it. This is Ian C. Jordan, who's out in Arizona. He says it goes to show you it takes a person with a certain type of psychological dynamic that follows this dumb shit with Trump and his base. The man's daughter wants nothing to do with him after he died. He hated that she was dating a black person, and he hated black people. But she also elaborated on some other stuff, because there's always, like Kamar referred to, the back channels talking about how horrible he was as an individual. So his daughter was basically saying no, and people don't really know who the real Hulk was, right? Like, he did a bunch of wild shit. He lost his family, right? I remember his son, because he had this incredible car collection, and his son, entitled young rich white dude, Him and his friend riding, trying to race each other. The friend gets crippled and just in a horrific accident. The son actually went to jail, but they're on the phone on a recorded conversation. And Hulk is telling his son, all right, well, get all your notes and whatnot together so we can sell this as a reality show. We got to make money off of this. And I was thinking, like, what kind of motherfucker do that? When this dude is a paraplegic and disabled for the rest of his life. The family was in an outrage. As a matter of fact, they've been trying to sue Hulk. I don't know if they got anything. I know his divorce knocked him down a peg. Brenda Peterson said, my daughter sent me the news article that he died, and then her text message was, bye, fucker. Oh, Mama Jenkins in the chat room. I couldn't wait on Mama Jenkins' take on this. She said, fuck Hulk Hogan and his mammy too. She said he was a racist and didn't give a damn about nobody black, period. Fuck him and his mammy. Here go Ewok. Orlando can't come to the cookout. He a spy.
Damn, man, Orlando ain't even here yet.
Ewok will not let up on Orlando. He's not letting up on him. We had a caller, right? I thought I had a caller. Caller, did they hang up? I lost him. I think it was Dion. Hit me back, Dion. I don't know what a call drop. You'll be saying I hung up on you.
Oh, it was just Dion.
Right. He'll call back. Said, Brenda Peterson said that's the same as the I have a black friend. I'm not racist. Yeah, okay.
Right. Got a black dog.
Or
black dog. I kick him in the ass every chance I get.
Or either it's Kamar. My parents never owned slaves. Okay,
yeah, right.
We never owned slaves. That means you ain't racist, right?
You're lying ass.
Right. Stop it. Save it. Ashcott Jones says white folks say some of the most racist shit ever and act as if they didn't know it was offensive. You got to check that issue on the spot whenever it happens. You know what I mastered the art of? Cuz I'm such a sarcastic ass person. I usually say some fucked up shit back to them.
Yeah.
Right. And then try to see if they gonna figure that shit out. Like they say something like, "Oh man, I know how you guys are," and I'm like,
"Hey, Kev, I got a petty streak in me, right?"
Right, of course.
I got a petty streak in me. I sometime I got time, you know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I'm just as sly with the language, with the use of language as them. So they'll say, "Yo, Kevin, hey, well, I know how you people are." I say, "Yeah, you know how we are. We got a keen sense of smell. Anybody smell wet dog?" And they don't know that reference. Or do I say, "Smell like a wet dog been in here?" And they'll be like, oh, "I don't get it." Of course you don't. I'm talking about you, Wally. Yeah. So they don't, like you said, Kamara, I'm Petty LaBelle tonight. I got time for the bullshit.
I got time tonight.
Ian C. Jordan said, "What up, Ewok?" Earl Henning said, "Fake. What we talking about? What we talking about? Fake." Said Ernest Walker, exactly. Yeah, Ernest is not the most. I mean, Ian is not the biggest fan of Hulk Hogan. Dion, I got you on the joint, man. What's popping?
Hey, how you all doing?
Dude, stop with the. You don't have to do that. Like, don't be with the bedroom voice on the show, man. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, I was listening to you guys talk about you guys was talking about wrestling. So you guys only grew up on WWF?
No,
y'all didn't know about the AWA?
AWA, World Class Wrestling with the Von Erichs. I watched WCW. I watched all that shit.
Von Erichs, yeah. So I tell motherfuckers before I even knew about Hulk Hogan, I like the Von Erichs, the Fabulous Freebirds, and shit like that. Superstar Billy Graham, Dr. Death Steve Williams. You know, I didn't know about Hulk Hogan. So what does dude do? What I'm watching him on TV. What is he doing with that phone?
I don't know. I have no clue what you're talking about. I'm not at your house with you. I'm not watching TV.
You can't see Kamar.
Kamar's no. Kamar got a machine over there. He's filming his own footage. Okay. What do you mean? What is he doing with the phone?
Hey, what I was about to say?
Hey, why are you all in my business though, man?
Let me tell you what happened to me this week. I'm no longer a city employee.
I ain't nobody. I ain't Orlando.
You heard me, Kev?
I heard you.
You laughing like a motherfucker.
I'm laughing because he said stay out his business. And you kind of bust him out. He's like, dude, what's happening, man? I ain't Orlando. So
yeah, I'm no longer. I resigned on their ass though. On the real, I couldn't do it no more, man. I just couldn't do it no more. The people. Let me tell you what happened. So Monday, because we was on Monday. So Monday, I called. You know, I didn't want to drive. I said, okay, this is it. This is my week. I'm going to try to put my 2 weeks notice in Friday. I'm going to try to just take it easy. I didn't want to drive. So I tell the motherfuckers, like, look, I got a toothache. They didn't give a fuck. They had me call downtown. They said, well, if you got a toothache, you need to go get a doctor. But for a minor toothache, I said, I go see the dentist Thursday, which I do go tomorrow to go see the dentist. So anyway, they make me take a day off Monday. I said, okay. I said, these people don't fuck with me tomorrow when I come in Tuesday. I'm turning, making a left right there on Walnut, because where I was at is right there on Walnut. That's Central. They called me and was like, hey, you supposed to be getting a truck. I said, well, listen, I talked to such and such yesterday, and I told him I got a minor toothache. You know what I'm saying? I said, you know what? We ain't even got to worry about this. I parked my motherfucking truck, went up in there, I said, Johnny, I said, I want to resign. He was like, when? I said, effective today. Then I filled out that paper, took that motherfucking ID off, resigned, and walked the fuck up out of there. Fuck them. I didn't even want the garbage truck in front of my house today. You know what I'm saying? I might not set my garbage off for a couple of weeks. Because, I already had a little part-time job anyway. You know what I'm saying? But I just didn't have the time for the bullshit, though. You know what I'm saying? So, fuck them. And my life. I've been gone since yesterday because today Wednesday. And I feel like I've been gone for about 3 weeks. That's how much stress it had on the nigga ass. You know what I'm saying? But I'm feeling all right, though. So, other than that, and then what else? I was about to say something. I can't remember what I was about to say, though. But I see they've been really stressing about what's going on Water Street, though. And then did you see about what happened down there in Cincinnati when the white people thought they was tough and got their ass brutalized?
I did see
and
that.
Now all of a sudden it's just a big old thing. You know what I'm saying? Like they was listen, man. You leave people alone. Leave people alone. You know what I'm saying? Don't go fucking with nobody. Now y'all crying foul because them boys tore their ass up. They knocked the lady. They knocked her clean the fuck out. She was laying on her back.
We don't want to celebrate men hitting women, but I mean, it's occupational hazard. I mean, if you're racist and you out there woofing, it's occupational hazard. You mean you might, it's like, damn, because I didn't like to see with the Alabama thing. With the riverboat, I didn't like to see the lady get hit with the chair, but I understood, like, man, this is battle, right? Like and she's in the mess. She should have got her ass on the sideline. But yeah, I did see that, and there's footage all over the place where because they like to, the media loves to pump that up. There's a race war coming. Look, black people against white people. It's just a distraction for you to not be able to see that it's really in Trump's eyes. Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't care for us, but he don't like poor white people either. So it's about classism nowadays. Really, this country is coming down to haves versus have-nots. But they'll pump that up. They'll pump that race stuff up for poor ignorant people to jump on, and then they can justify either locking your ass up or killing your ass. And so, we gotta be aware of the mixed messages. Let me go to the chat room, because the chat room's popping. I love it when my chat room's popping. This is Ewok. He says, after Spider-Man and his amazing friends went off, it wasn't nothing else to watch but wrestling. That's about the time I left the house to go flip on a dirty mattress in the alley. Right?
That was unhygienic like a motherfucker. We used to do that
shit all the time, flipping on bed bugs, piss, and lice, and all kinds of other shit. And you know what? My mom's put an end to that early too, because we told her that one. They got a mattress up there by the tot lot. My mother was like, if you take your ass up there and flip on that nasty ass mattress, and I never flipped on one again after that. When she told me that's the nastiest shit in the world. Mama Jenkins said, Kamar, he's not on when he comes back on. I don't know if he can hear us. I can't see him. Mama Jenkins is saying she wants to meet up with Kamar because she wants to get some sea moss and some detox. Earl Henning said wrestling never wanted to see two men wrestling in tights. I watched it when I was young, so my mind wasn't on nothing homosexual. Right? Like now I can look at it and say, there's two big grown ass, sweaty ass men in the ring with drawers on. I didn't look at it like that when I was a kid, right? Because they didn't all wear drawers. Some of them just wore the drawers, and some of them had, outfits on. I didn't look at it as a kid like that. So my mind wasn't even there.
It was wrestling tight.
Yeah, I wasn't even, my mind wasn't there. We all, once again, it was part of it became part of the American culture, like mainstream pop media, You know,
It did.
because it correlated into music and movies, and that's why Hulk was able to commercials and toys and apparel and action figures, and it was just it just blew up. It's almost like hip hop and wrestling kind of in the 80s found a spot and just took the fuck off and never came back down to earth. Brenda Peterson says, but now you can't collect unemployment. What did I miss? She said you can't collect unemployment.
Because I resigned.
Well, he has another job. Well, he has 2 other jobs. So his point is, I figured, I looked around and said, why the fuck am I here? Right? Basically. Kerry Walker Jones said they need to stop wrestling checks. They need to stop writing checks they ass can't cash, talking about white people who wolf. Well, they always feel like they got the law behind them. I watch so many Karens like, I'm going to call the police. Because their belief is I'm in the right because I'm an American citizen. And when the police get there, they be like, your ass wrong, right? Like, you might as well go and leave this man alone. And it's always funny to see. Ian C. Jordan said Orlando Hogan. Oh, Lord, here we go.
He's gonna call pretty soon because he's gonna be like Candyman.
Orlando Hogan is a house nigga at the highest level. Trump firing black librarians, giving police immunity. Anybody black that supports these racist motherfuckers that are protecting a child molester says a lot about their character. Orlando knows Trump passed and didn't want to support the community, support the black woman who he has more in common with. He was in a Black Lives Matter Democrat, got into a fight with Ashanti Hamilton and went to the police, switched it up, sold out, and became a token for the Wisconsin, I'm thinking he's saying Republicans. He had a fight with Ashanti, went to the police. Never heard any of that before.
I know he used to be a Democrat. I know motherfuckers say he used to be a Democrat.
Mama Jenkins, you went way back. She said she used to love Bobo Brazil. Good Lord. Man,
damn. That's
OG wrestling right there. She says,
that's black and white.
Nigga, that's when the shit was real.
Well, yeah, it was more real than it is now. Yeah. It was at one point, yeah. I did get the ass whooped. It was always kind of fake, but there was some realism to it. Like, that's what the AWA was, Kamar. It was like that was more. Vince kind of sensationalized it. He made it a commercial thing where wrestling was kind of like an underground thing, like pit fighting or something. But yeah, you're right. It was at one point. Earl Henning said, Larry is my big brother. That is why. Yeah, man, rest in peace to Big Larry, man. Man. Rest in peace to Big Larry, man. I have so many stories about Big Larry and Trail and Fat Man. Rest in peace to Fat Man for life, baby. And Montreal. Man, crazy. Kerry Walker Jones said, call a popo ho. She's talking about Orlando. The Undertaker. Yeah, man. I you know what? I'm gonna say this because I want to move on from the wrestling thing, but it was so serious to me, man. Those pay-per-views would be like $50. I used to have my father pay for them for me. Like, Dad, wrestling coming on. Can you get it? Like, I remember when Hulk lost his belt to the Ultimate Warrior. I sat and watched that whole 3.5, 4-hour WrestleMania, and I videotaped it. So
big deal.
It was 2 Ultimate Warriors. You know, it was a Dingo Warrior, then it was the Ultimate Warrior.
Well, the Dingo Warrior is who the Ultimate Warrior became. That was his early wrestling name. So he became the Ultimate Warrior after he roided it up. Go ahead, Kamar.
No, I was just saying that was a big deal when that fight came, the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan.
Hell yeah. And if you think about, they talk about how bad a technical wrestler Hulk was, and the Warrior was horrible too. So there was just a steaming pile of shit. Like, I always loved the WCW more with Dusty Rhodes and all those dudes over there. I always felt like theirs was more with Sting and all them. I thought theirs was more authentic. Ewok says mainstream media still ain't admitting that the white man slapped the black dude first. That's the good thing about cameras everywhere. They're going to have to admit it and arrest that white boy too. Well, they're going to spin the narrative. They're spinning the whole Epstein narrative. Trump is spinning the shit out of the narrative. And in his latest things, he said, I never had the privilege of going to his house, but we was close friends. And he used to come to my house, but then I got mad at him because he started stealing my workers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hold on. Right? Wait, y'all was great friends for many years, but I never had the pleasure of going to his island. And this is after they give up, they come out and say, no, Trump's name is actually in the Epstein files multiple times. But you can't get anyone who supports Trump to say there's a distinct possibility that Trump probably fuddled around with some young underage girls, or either knew about or participated in some form of sex trafficking. They won't admit that. You can show them a picture of Trump doing it with a little girl, and people who support him will say, but see, you got to understand that's put together by liberals. They just don't want you to know the truth. I've never seen a person
fake news.
Right, fake news, right? That's fake news, right? Trump will say, shut that, whoever put that video out, close him down. He getting people fired off TV, man. Come on.
That was part of the Project 2025 with the FCC.
Yeah.
They said Project 2025 is 50% completed.
There we go. Shit. Breon said, I literally cried as a kid when that fight happened. Damn. Breon, you know what was crazy for me is that he had been a champion for so long. I was ready for him to lose, and I liked the Warrior. So I was hype in my room. Like, yes, finally. I was so happy. I was happy. Like, oh,
remember when the Ultimate Warrior bench pressed Andre the Giant?
I ain't never seen the Ultimate Warrior bench press Andre. They wasn't wrestling at the same time. I seen Hulk slam him. I ain't never seen nobody.
Remember that, Dion?
You said you seen that?
Yeah, I remember that when the Ultimate Warrior picked Andre the Giant up, and they was like, whoa, he did it.
He bench pressed him? I got to see this. Show this to me, because Andre the Giant was out of wrestling by 1989, 88.
The Ultimate Warrior picked that motherfucker up. I remember that.
I never seen that. I seen Hulk pick him up and slam him. I never seen nobody else slam the Giant, Andre the Giant, instead of Hulk. Somebody hit me with that footage if y'all got it. I'd like to see that, just because I'm a history buff.
Shit,
Mama Kerry Walker Jones said he gonna pardon that lady. Right. Yeah, well, yeah, you're gonna have to. If you come out and say that, okay, well, Epstein wasn't a sex trafficker. He wasn't somebody who engaged in this kind of behavior. What the fuck was he in jail for then? What was he in jail for? And then she's saying the same thing. Okay, if he wasn't a sex trafficker and it wasn't nothing done wrong, why am I in jail? Good question, right? It's just, man, people, I don't know. I've never loved anyone so much that I just refuse to see the truth about them. You know what I'm saying? I've never, no matter how much I support someone, right? Like, so say for instance, of course he was forthcoming with the Martin Luther King thing. And I know if you read it in there somewhere, there's going to be some detail about, first of all, gay Edgar Hoover just hounding and harassing the brother, right? And for what? And at the same time, you're hounding and harassing him. Organized crime is running rampant in the United States of America, right? And you don't go after them. Now, I know there's some people who say they had some footage of old gay Edgar Hoover and Clyde Tolson, his close associate. If you know, you know. There was some talk that there was some film out there, some pictures. You know what I mean? And so that's why he let organized crime roll on. They didn't fall. They didn't really start to even get prosecuted until he died. And then you get into the 70s, and finally you get into the RICO Act and all this kind of stuff, and down goes the organized crime as we knew it then. I'm pretty sure it's in a different form right now. But my point in all that is Trump is just fugazi on a lot of levels. People are trying to find something good he's doing. They're talking about he's stood fast on the tariffs, and now it's starting to turn into a situation where America is now formulating favorable deals for the economy. But the reality is what a lot of these people are coming to him saying is, no, keep the shit the same. And even one time they said, no, we want to keep it the same how it's been. And they showed him the bill, and he said, what the fuck wrote this? What idiot wrote this? Who put this into place? And they said, you did in your last term. When you lie so much that you forget your own lies, and then you always got to do something for black people that's so coonish. I'm a pardon Diddy. Listen, I'm not totally against him pardoning Diddy based on what he was convicted for. See, the problem with this whole thing is we hold Diddy guilty in the court of morals. And in moral court, in our eyes, Diddy was guilty of everything else because of
I
what
don't
we
think
saw.
he's guilty for nothing.
Well,
For letting that man nut
okay,
on
so
him.
a lot of us, based on what we saw him do to Cassie, we said from then on, I don't give a fuck what they charge him with. He's guilty of that shit. But during that trial, when we kept, myself in particular, this is where Kev goes to saying he's a genius. I kept saying this is a weak ass Rico case. And when I was listening to the testimony, I kept saying I'm still not seeing Rico, y'all. I'm still not seeing it. But now what they oversold it because there was a lot of stuff they promised to show and prove that didn't come to fruition. Right. So ultimately, he was exonerated for sex trafficking and Rico. Now what his lawyers are saying is he should be let loose because there's no one who's ever faced federal time for violating the Mann Act. It's never happened, right? And when you go into court of law, we can't convict you because we don't like you. We got to convict you whether or not you committed what you're charged with. So if Trump pardoned him, I would understand it, but I still would look at it as you trying to appease black people because you think we're low-hanging fruit and shit like that excites us. Ooh, he freed Diddy. We don't give a shit about Diddy. At least I don't. I don't know about y'all.
I would think Trump would be pardoning because he ain't snitching on him.
That might be it too. That might be it too.
That's why I would think he would be pardoning if he did it. You know what I mean, like, thanks, man, appreciate it.
Yes, yeah.
But you know, like you
point.
said, like it's mostly like black people look at it morally. You know what I'm saying? I think what he did get charged with, he could have. You know what I mean? I think they put the whole Rico tag. They should have charged him with sex trafficking. You know what I'm saying? And the other one, I think they better with that. I think they did better with that. But they did get him for what they got him for. And so what? Did nobody ever get no time for it? You know what I'm saying? That part don't even matter. You know what I'm saying? It still carry time. So they can give him time.
They can. And that's why Trump is saying, I might pardon him anyway. Because, yeah, like you said, he did commit a crime.
Right.
And fuck the precedent, which law is basically, when you go in court, most of the stuff is built based on a precedent, right? A lawyer will say, Your Honor, in the case of 1955 Johnson versus Jones, right? Like the precedent, the legal precedent, right? But Trump can come in and say, nah, fuck what y'all talking about. No, he ain't gonna do. No, he's not. Now, my thing is, what's this look like? If Diddy walks free, what does this look like?
It's going to normalize that sexual shit going on. No, that sexual shit to where, remember, beginning they was talking about how he used the recordings against the people. You know what I'm saying? So like now you got to do this shit for me or whatever. So it's going to normalize all that shit. That's what it's going to do.
How come none of that information came? So that's what I'm saying. That prosecution, and you know that the lady prosecutor, the federal prosecutor who's in charge of that, got fired after this, right? This was a legal fiasco. In legal circles, Kamar, this will be remembered as a folly, as a federal folly, right? The lawyers are going to be talking about this in law school 20 years from now as the most piss-poor prosecution of a case ever.
I still got questions on Homeland Security raiding his house.
That too. That's why her ass got fired. Well, who does this?
Why the fuck is Homeland Security raiding his house? You know what I'm saying? What the fuck is going on? Like that ain't who supposed to be raiding his house just because it was a federal case.
And all they found was some baby oil, a quarter ounce of weed, and an AR-15, man. You supposed to go to the House of Correction for that shit. You ain't supposed to go to the feds for that shit. But listen, karma is real. God is real. So whatever God has for him, you know, will come. We watched OJ walk, and I felt like everything that happened to OJ after that was karma for whatever. Because OJ went through some shit after he walked. Like he, you know, that's how he ended up in prison eventually.
People, man.
Hey, let me say one more thing too. Like my perception, right? Like I saw the video. He beat that girl ass all down that motherfucking thing. I don't condone that shit. So I got a problem with him on that note.
Of Court of morals.
That ain't got nothing to do with the case, but you know what I mean? Me viewing him as a man, I got a problem with him.
You know how many people I done seen say that, Kamar? Like, regardless of what he got charged with, after I seen that video, I would never fuck with dude again. But when I say what does this look like is if he comes home, there's a lot of people who's running their mouths. A lot of people had a lot of motherfucking shit to say. And this man gonna come home and still be 100 billionaire, right? And so what does it look like? Is motherfucker gonna be running? Because like you said, if there is video, say that there is video, or I do have footage of you, I done beat this case, I come home, I'm at your ass. Now, you had a lot to say when I was locked up.
You motherfuckers talking that shit. I'm finna leak this motherfucking video.
There you go. Done scared the shit out of Obama. He went to talk about y'all need to be friends with gay dudes. Make y'all y'all better put yourselves, get them some gay friends. Obama already heading for the bush.
That was some shit. That was some shit between him and old girl, man. Motherfuckers was killing me. Like, man, if motherfuckers
Dion, you can't dismiss him beating the girl ass and kicking her when she down. It's just some shit between them.
Somebody whooping on their bra right now as we on live talking.
And if he get caught, his ass should go to jail.
But I will have a problem with them too.
Right.
I will have a problem with them too. What's the difference?
So you endorse men beating women?
Motherfuckers do what they do. I ain't endorsing it. I ain't saying it's right. I ain't saying
you endorsing it. If you saying we wrong, you endorsing it.
That's just like if a woman in your face. You're gonna be like, oh no, she's a woman, or she hits you in your mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like bitch ass nigga bop.
Well, Ray Rice.
Oh no, she's a woman.
Ray Rice showed you what happens when the woman spit in your face and you knock her out. He lost every goddamn thing, and rightfully so. Now, was she wrong? Hell yeah, she was wrong. But he knocked her out. And so no more football, no more indoor. I think that brother is a Walmart greeter right now. So, yeah, you could do it. Do whatever you want to do, but be willing to take the consequences and repercussions from it. And I think that's what a lot of people's situation is with Puffy is that, we seen him beat this lady, but that's not what he was charged with. You know, that's how we feel. And then there's the law and there's court. Now, if there was some domestic violence, they were saying, no, he commits domestic violence, right? But he wasn't officially charged with that. So, of course, you skated by. Now, I do think that their witnesses done them more of a disservice than anything. I thought Cassie was the worst witness, and the prosecution should have known not to bring her after she had taken $29 million in hush money. That automatically made her not credible. And then when you start hearing people saying he raped me, he did this to me, he did this to me. Yeah, but you was friends with him for 20 more years after that, and we got texted you saying, I love you. Please, you're the best friend I ever had. So I thought their witnesses that they brought to the table it's like, man, that's horrible. So, and I don't know if Puffy had enough money to make sure the people who really could have got him sent up was quiet as a motherfucker. Because somebody probably got an envelope, Kamar. Like, look, I know what I did to you. You keep your ass quiet. Here go 12 million. 12? I ain't saying shit. I'm going to Hawaii, man, for the whole trial.
I'm for real. Me and I ain't saying shit.
Man, listen, man. I'm trying to tell you how people work. People is po, man. Brenda Peterson said she was talking about the video. She's talking about Trump. She said, of course he participated. What I was referring to. Of course he did. Have you seen the videos of his daughter as a teenager? Something's off. I've seen Trump with a lot of weird energy around women, period. I've seen him make a lot of uncomfortable comments. Remember, this is the dude. Right, that's what I was going to say. This is the dude who initially said that, right? And once again, if you talk to Trump supporters about that, that's man, he was just joking. You know how Donald is, right? You know how Donald is. So that's why I say it's fruitless to have a debate with a MAGA supporter about him. You will gain no ground, and you're going to waste a whole bunch of time. Just say, all right, man, you got it, and walk away. What was you finna say, Dion?
What bothers me about the whole, even when he first ran, this man has been wealthy all of his life, and he makes it, or his speeches or whatever he does, seem like he has something in common with common people. Like, like it's just crazy, but. Basically, because I'm like you, I live in a powerverse, and they was basically like, if Barack Obama probably would never been president, we never probably would have never had a Trump, because that was the resentment
Yes.
that white people, and
Yes.
it's just so sad, like how, and that's why it be bothering me when I hear, you know, people, including yourself, when they be like, well, all white people are bad. You know what I'm saying? But
Well, all
you
white,
have
all
a
white
vast
people aren't bad though. I don't.
Wait,
like,
hold on. Let me change though. This is my opinion. But you have a vast majority of them that hate our fucking guts.
Yeah.
And regardless if you feel like all of them ain't bad, they have some type of residual prejudice in them, because you have to understand that it was indoctrinated, even with us.
Well,
You know what I'm
hold
saying?
on now, because words mean something, right? You just
Go
said
ahead.
prejudice. There's a difference between prejudice and racism. So
Yeah.
prejudice in itself is not necessarily wrong. That's why I say to you, I believe there are more prejudiced white people than there are racist. Case in point, this town in Arkansas, in the Ozark Mountains, this white only town that we show no gays, no Jews, no blacks allowed. And they put this story out there like we were supposed to get upset and lose our shit about it. But I'm gonna tell you this.
Yeah.
Well, we ain't no need for us to get upset about that, because you can go to northern Wisconsin and find all white towns. As a matter of fact, I've said this a lot. White people are the only race in this country who have the ability to go somewhere where they can just do them and there's no minorities. I've been in North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Iowa, Western Minnesota, Southern Illinois, Northern Wisconsin, all through the South, going to Mississippi to see, with the family. And there are areas like the sundown towns. It's so many areas where there are white towns. Now, they're not, say, well, this is all white town, but move your black ass to one of them and see if you get a cake and a welcome neighbor. Your ass finna go through some shit. So that wasn't, but I believe most of those people had a prejudice that turned into racism, because they then actively start to express vitriol towards minorities. When you start to saying you hate people, you're racist. But you can be prejudiced and say, nah, they all right, but I'd rather live over here. That's like me. I want to live in a community with some black people in it. You don't got to be all black, but I want some black people in it. And those black people who are there, I prefer to converse with them. I would prefer to associate myself with them. You can't always do that. That doesn't always happen, but that's the prejudice in me. I love black people. I honestly prefer black people over every other race on this planet. I can proudly say it. I love black people, but I don't hate white people. As a matter of fact, I don't hate nobody, but I don't fuck with people who hate me. Now, my wife would say, no, Kevin gonna tell you, if you hate him, he hates you more, which there might be some truth to that, right? So I might have misspoke right there, but I'm just saying, I don't hate you unless you hate me. Let's put it like that. I think that's a better way for me to clean that up. Other than that, when I see a white person, my expectation might be, yeah, I know this motherfucker racist. But if they prove to me otherwise, even if it's just that they're prejudiced, not racist, I can deal. But as soon as you start popping about eradicating us or taking our rights, or you making assumptions about us and have never met us or been around us, I say, see, this motherfucker racist. Now, I've met some prejudiced white people who've told me, I went to school with some, said, Kev, I never grew up around African Americans. That's what they used to say. I never went to school with any African Americans. There were a couple on my football team. They were curious to know, like, is all the shit I done seen true? Right? Especially some of the myths, right? They was worried about their sisters. E.N.C. Jordan said Michael Wolff was on the Midas Touch today and publicly stated that he saw Polaroids with Trump with young girls presented to him by Jeffrey Epstein himself. This was reported today. The son of a bitch is a child molester, and people like Orlando, Ron Johnson, Mike Johnson, and all of the people that are standing with this fucking clown need to be chastised and incinerated publicly every chance we get. And I've been a doormat for a while. He said, I've been a doormat for a while. I've been dormant for a while. But
Damn, you upset with Orlando.
But I got something to say, playing for Mr. Orlando and others. Earl Henning in the chat room. What up, Earl? He said he took a young girl from him. That's why. Yeah, he said they stopped being friends because he took some workers from him. Right? Like, you took my favorite maid. Like, what's that about? That's what I'm saying. Mama Jenkins still, she said Dick the Bruiser. She He's still naming the old school wrestlers. The Crusher from Milwaukee, from the AWA, right? And he was old as fuck by the time we got, old enough to watch. So I used to be like, there's no way he can whoop nobody's ass. He's like 70 years old. But he wrestled forever and shit. The Crusher, crushing up beer cans and shit. They put a statue of his ass here. Ian said, my whole business and career revolve around helping people with developmental disabilities. Trump's program wiped out a division of our business that helped at-risk kids in the Tucson, Arizona area. We were going to the Phoenix area. Then by 2028, I had planned to take our program to the Milwaukee area where I grew up. People like Orlando and others support Trump and these elected Republicans going after the poorest of the poor. I have no respect for any of them, any of it. He said 2 escorts have come out publicly. This is ENC Jordan still saying they saw President Donald J. Trump at multiple Diddy parties. Trump is considering pardoning Diddy because Disney knows where the dicks are buried. That's pretty much what what Kamar just said. Trump gonna throw him a bone. Earl said, and a rubber dick. It's funny when Earl just shoots him like a one-liner out. I don't know what he's talking about. What you talking about, man? What you talking about? Shout out to Earl, man. Shout out to Earl Henning. Shout out to Earl Henning, man.
You talking about a deal, though?
I have no clue. I'm not elaborating on that shit, D. I ain't trying to set me up. Ian said, y'all the best show on the internet. Get on TikTok too. I got over 50K viewers and millions of views. You'll surpass that easily. Man, listen, don't even get me started. I fucks the TikTok off. Kamar got me on it, and I started out with a bunch of thunder, and then I just said, man, I'm sitting up here spending money to edit the clips for the show, and I ain't been sharing the shit. And people still following me on TikTok, commenting on the videos. Okay, I'm going to make a pledge. I'm going to get Outlaw Radio on TikTok updated. How about that? Because it was popping when I was sharing the clips, and then I was like, man.
Yeah, but you had that weird-ass dude called sometimes we don't need certain people in our spaces, though.
Wait, which weirdo you talking about?
Where was he from? Wasn't he from one of the Carolinas or something? And then he was talking about women are dumb and this, that, and the other. And
you just endorsed women getting beat, and he bad because he said women are dumb.
I was using him as an example to refresh your memory, and I know that was one of the things that he said. But I knew that was one of the things he said, though.
He's not on none of those clips, though. He's not on none of the Opus clips from TikTok. I don't have anything with him on there.
No, but what I'm saying, ain't that where he seen you and decided to call in one day on the show?
I don't know if he's seen us on TikTok and decided. I thought he was on YouTube. You see, there's a lot of people who watch on YouTube who will call in from time to time. There's a lot of people who watch the show in Milwaukee, but they don't show up. If you get in the chat room and you comment, I can see you. Other than that, I don't know who's watching. There's a lot of people who watch that don't ever say anything because they walked up to me and said, hey, I watch your show. And I'm like, really? Because I don't believe in this. I remember y'all was talking about such and such and such. I'm like, damn, you did watch that shit, huh? So I appreciate you for saying we the best show on the internet. I believe so. It's just a shame that we are in Milwaukee where the silo prevents any kind of networking or building. Shabaka St. Cora out in Las Vegas, Sin City. He said, greetings, Outlaw. Fuck Hulk Hogan. O.J. Simpson was acquitted. The case in Los Angeles County against him was tainted as hell. Absolutely. Absolutely. Ernest Walker said that was Hulk. That's what I said, that Hulk slammed Andre the Giant. I never seen anybody bench press Andre the Giant. The only person I seen slam him was Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania when he won the belt from him.
I sent it to you in Messenger. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
Because I'm watching a 1990, what's this, a Royal Rumble with Coco be wearing $1 Million Man with Virgil and shit.
Uh-huh.
I'm sitting up here looking at that shit now. Remember the $1 Million belt?
Hold on now. Dion, you know what? Dion sent it to me, so we're going to play it. We're going to play it. We're going to play it, y'all. Let me do this. Not that. We done from that. We done with that. I'm gonna play this video. Dion just sent me. No, don't say that, man. Don't say that, Dion. Don't say that. Just take that. Let me see. Okay, here it goes. Dion James. Not to say your whole government name, my brother, but
you know that's not my government name. I told you you know my name, my real name.
All right, let me pause this because I'm gonna play this video. Somebody said I don't know how to operate my technology. Screw you, buddy. All right. They doing the advertisement. I'm gonna pause it when it starts.
It's only 11 seconds long, though.
It's just delaying me being able to watch. Okay, hold on. Here we go. All right, y'all. Let me share this screen right quick before we move on. Shut up. I said shut up. Not that I endorse telling women to shut up, y'all. Oh man, share screen. All right, here we go, y'all. Here we go. Come on, technology. All right, here we go.
Had to get these vintage disco pants too. Then I was craving something sporty.
Tempted, we have seen it in the past to put the Warrior out with a chokehold from behind. This time it's straight on. Is he going to pick him up? Wow. The fans are going nuts. Wow. Oh, that time he missed.
Okay. I had never seen it. I didn't remember it. So y'all was right. Shout out to y'all, man. Y'all was right. Mariah says, you got no times to put your hands on me. Keep your hands to yourself. Defending yourself is damn different from beating on someone. That's Cuzzo. That's my cousin Mariah Johnson. She said, you got no time. I wouldn't advise nobody put their hands on little cuz anyways. You have a motherfucking problem. Have a lot of niggas waiting outside your house. Trust me. A lot of people, women and men. That might be a situation.
Here go my boy. Hey, that's why I started liking snakes, because of Jake the Snake Roberts.
Okay, this is
he was from Stone Mountain, Georgia.
He said Cassie might have been trying to run away with the bag of dope. Puff wanted to get high too. Man, you and Dion is fucking twins, man. He said, Earl Henning said, pedophiles, they stick together. Ewok is in the chat room. He said he has stupidity in common with MAGA. He made being dumb a safe place for them. Plus, he sprinkled the racism in there with that red hat. It made them feel like a part of something. It happens in our community, too. It's called the churches, cult shit. Wow. He said, this is Ewok talking to Ian. He said, Ian, come link up with me. I'm in Mesa, willing to help. Said, nigga, give it some time. I don't think he's responding to Ernest with that. And Earl Henning said, the weirdo, Orlando Owens. Okay. So look, in terms of this is where Trump did register with the American people. Because you don't get this many votes. I hear people say, he screwed the monkey on the election and all this.
Mm-hmm.
But where people related to Trump was, number one, everybody in this country is frustrated. Everybody feels like drastic changes, groundbreaking, revolutionary changes need to be made. People were mad about the economy, and especially when they were misinformed, because what they did know is that, and this is not because I'm a Democratic shield, but the reality is that the Democrats and Biden had reinvigorated the economy, right? Now, inflation had just flared up like it so often does, but it was also dropping. It had dropped back down, but Trump was able to ride that and say, look at this inflation. People were fed up about illegal immigrants. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm one of those people who kind of underestimated that, because that's not something here on the northwest side of Milwaukee that I'm dealing with in terms of competing with illegal immigrants or migrants to take my job or my woman or take over my neighborhood. As a matter of fact, this is the most diverse neighborhood I've ever lived in my entire life. There are Native Africans, there are Latinos, there are Hmонgs, there are blacks, and there's whites. Nobody over here tries to dominate anyone. Everybody over here has worked hard to build whatever they have. People respect their properties. Like the Hmонgs can have a family gathering or get together or a party. Nobody bothers them. I've seen the white people do it. Hell, when I used to throw my little shindigs over here, with all my brothers over here, all my people over here with the grill going, nobody bothered me. I used to be a white cat lady who lived next door to me, but we got her right. We fixed her real quick. But I'm saying, so I underestimated that because it wasn't something I was seeing, but it did resonate with the American people in sanctuary cities like Chicago, in other cities where they were dealing with this mass influx. So people said, fuck that. And then a lot of people feel like Trump is one of those individuals who has the ability to say what you think, but are scared to say. That's why we love Bernie Mac. Because Bernie Mac would say what you thinking, but you wouldn't say it. Fuck them kids. I took the shit out of a kid, right? Like, I ain't gonna finna be saying shit like that, but I'm thinking in my head, you know. So there was he did relate to the American people. He has been a celebrity for years, right? So he was a celebrity millionaire. So it's like, yeah, he was a brand. So people did relate to him. They didn't question whether or not he had the political acumen to be effective as a president. They just said, no, we want to change so bad that we're willing to screw our own selves for it. So, you know, that's where I think he related at. What was you finna say, Kamar?
No, I was agreeing with you about how, like, in the sanctuary cities, you know what I mean, that's what they was talking about on the internet. They was talking about all them people coming, them just dropping motherfuckers off. They ain't had nowhere to live in the city. So they was just out in the streets. And then a lot of them was criminals already. So, you know what I mean, now they out there crimes in them communities. So for me, the big issue was the criminal immigrants. You know what I mean? Like, okay. Yeah, I understand that. I get it. But that was the part where you're right. That is where he appeased a lot of Americans.
And I'm with you with the criminals too, but I think when you vilify the entire group, and now we're seeing children and, you know, people who, to be honest with you, if you've been here for 20 plus years paying taxes, contributing, and you're not a criminal, you deserve to stay here. You've earned your citizenship. So instead of him saying, okay, we're going to do it like this, people who should be here or have earned the right to be here, we're going to expedite their citizenship. And then if your paperwork ain't right and you ain't supposed to be here, you're a criminal, we shipping your ass out. And so I just think his approach has been so anti-person, anti-human, right? Like it's like, we don't give a fuck about humans. Like, you know, you got some money or not, you got a green card or not, you know what I'm saying? But I feel a lot of people do relate to him. Go ahead, Dion.
But another thing too, I feel like misinformation is a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people were misinformed because, like you said, in certain sanctuary cities like New York and Chicago, they felt like the immigrants were getting housing, money, and food subsidies, and they can't get that. But they didn't know that money was specifically allocated just for that purpose. So even if the immigrants would have never came over here, they weren't going to get that money regardless of whatever. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
Another thing I feel like the media has something to do with that, because how long people been crossing the border over here?
Yeah,
they've been doing it forever.
Forever.
You know what I'm saying? Forever. All of a sudden, it's this, they woo. And then people gravitating to it. Then, you know, ain't nobody understanding that a lot of the Republican governors, Ron DeSantis, what's the one guy down there in Texas, they were sending immigrants from those Republican states to sanctuary cities. You understand what I'm saying? So people was misinformed about that. So then now when you have those Republicans sending busloads of immigrants to those cities, and then the people are getting the food subsidies, the free housing, you know, getting the housing vouchers or whatever they was getting. And we as black people, we were looking for some entitlement, and we was like, wait, hold on.
But shouldn't we, hold on, Dion, shouldn't we be over handouts though? Like at this point, should we be?
I agree.
Should we be sitting around pissing and moaning because somebody got some welfare that we didn't? Get up off your ass and work. That's another thing that Trump kind of resonated with the American people on. They didn't understand because a lot of these people they can read words, but they can't comprehend them. He was saying, well, we tired of people freeloading and we're tired of all these government programs that are giving people money for nothing. But what he failed to talk about is the fact that some of these people are elderly people that are your grandparents and your uncles and your aunties who are old, and they're receiving what they earned by working, being in the workforce for 30, 45 years. And they also didn't understand that white people are the biggest recipients of welfare and government benefits because there's more of them here.
Thank you.
So a lot of them went merrily along their way saying, oh, we're gonna show them, we're gonna teach them. Yeah, congratulations, you just fucked yourself out your own insurance. Now, this is one thing too I realize about Trump. Okay. Every time he tears something down, what he tries to attempt to do is privatize it. So he'll say, I'll get rid of the Department of Public Instruction, or, you know, on a federal level, turn it over to the states, and then tell his friends who have money, y'all go in there and form a corporation to educate people. You can build schools, build charter schools, go and build private schools, and tell the poor people they'll get a better education. The more you privatize, the more billionaires, the more money they make. So a lot of stuff Trump is going to try to eliminate. When people say, oh my God, he destroyed that, he took it. Just watch how Medicaid and Medicare become privatized. 1 million new agencies will pop up to say, did you lose your benefits because of the big, beautiful bill? Well, call Weinstein Medical Care. Like, it's going, Weinstein, I'm so bad. But that's what I'm saying is, and that's what rich people do. They privatize. No, don't. The government is too much money in that for that shit. No, let us get that money. And I still haven't heard the answer to the question of all the money you found when do DOGE, and where's that? Has it been reallocated? I still ain't heard no programs initiated say, this the money that we took from that office, we're going to turn it over to here. I haven't seen that. He said, this is Ian. He's giving Ernest his phone number, so I don't got to put that out there. He said, Kevin, give TikTok some time. I ain't tripping on that, man. If I could figure out YouTube, I think I'd be okay. I'm telling y'all, I have a real job. So I work during the day. Like, sometimes I do. don't tell my boss, right? But no, and I got other stuff going on, so my focus is not probably where it should be in terms of promoting the show. I can admit that. So I really need to step my game up on YouTube and on TikTok and Instagram and all of this shit. I just throw it on Facebook and let it ride. And Facebook plays games with the algorithm sometimes where I know people were watching the show. I know people were listening. I look at the numbers. I say, come on, man, we had to have more people than that. But I'm not wired to want to be a celebrity. I'm not thirsty for attention. Like, I don't want to be, you know, Kev is the new leader. Kev don't want that. So this is my passion. I'm convicted to do it. I really love passing information to my brothers and my sisters, and I love to converse with them. So, you know, if it's meant to be, it'll be where we get some blow up situation. If not, I mean, I'm not going to cry about it. I mean, I feel like Milwaukee, the city of Milwaukee, is blown their load by not having me on terrestrial radio. So that initially trained me to not trip off not getting any kind of recognition, because there's no way I shouldn't be on the radio here. I can say that proudly and loudly. Kerry Walker Jones said they voted for him for all the wrong reasons. There was nothing right in their reasoning. I mean, you have to talk to the individual, and especially rich people who said, no, I want these tax breaks. And that's what I told a lot of poor people who voted for Trump, who were talking about the benefits that he was going to bring. You're not in the right tax bracket to receive those benefits. So you still voting against your own ass, right? Like, so they say don't blow your nose to spite your face. Ewok said Trump said he was going after gang members and killers, but ICE is arresting workers and people coming from court trying to get green cards. Exactly. He said ICE ain't been going in no gang hoods. Ian C. Jordan in the chat room, he said, I hired 3 black people this week. Excellent. But I had 2 people from Milwaukee come to my interview smelling like weed, and they were late. LOL. Nothing is going to stop people like me from hiring black people that look like us. Let me get to this. That look like us, and talking to other business owners or people that work for companies in position to hire people from doing things. These racist people are going to be just that, racist. Let's do our thing. I put my phone number in the chat. Anybody that's trying to do something, give me a call. He said anybody that's trying to do it. He's shouting out Ewok. That's his phone number. Still got that Wisconsin phone number. I see you, boy. Ernest Walker said Mitt Romney had the same plan as Trump. Republicans been trying to privatize everything. Yeah, I just peeped that, Ewok. Having one of my great thinking sessions, you know. I have some of the greatest conversations when I talk to myself. And I thought about what Trump is doing, and I'm like, because I'm always trying to understand the reasoning behind so many people supporting him. And I'm saying, you know, when I look at what he's doing, it seems like, because there's uninformed people who think he's going after the government. He's trying to take over. He want to be the king. We ain't gonna have no rights. But they don't understand business, so they don't understand that what he's doing is actually trying to create corporations and privatize. So when he said, I'm bringing the money back to America, he's telling his billionaire and millionaire friends, I'm about to get y'all paid like never before. You know what I'm saying? And trim the fat on the government, which is a lot of people say, oh, we got to reduce government, big spending, trim the fat. And so it's just one hand washes the other, man. So that's kind of like what Trump is doing. I stayed a little bit later because we were late. We were late as hell. Because I had to handle some business. Shout out to my cousin, Carl Pfeiffer. He did me a real solid. Appreciate him. So I had to holler at him before the show. Shout out to you, Bose. Appreciate you, man. Love, cuz. Before we go, I wanted to talk about Umar Johnson. Because Umar Johnson, and I can't believe it's come to this. Umar Johnson is on the internet telling people they have frozen my accounts. I have no money right now. I need y'all to send me some money. I need people to donate to me. And when I hear him talk, he had gotten a little bit too extra. Now, years and years ago, I think Umar started off with some righteous intentions, especially in the fact that let's re-examine how we educate our kids. And there's a need for curriculums and facilities that will, encourage better educating our kids. So he wasn't wrong on that. But that microphone and that camera creates a lot of vanity. It boosts that ego. And I think they said it's $1.8 million that was donated to him years ago. Still no school. He's saying now I need y'all to keep giving me donations because we're trying to finish the floor at the school. We still got to pay that water bill and that electric bill. Where? At what school? Like, we just watched this happen with the brother Ken Black and Frank Nitti, right? Where Ken was one of his main focuses that he had a big problem with Frank was the accusations that he stole money from the people, that he scammed the people. And he played off of our desire to see a cause created that was going to invigorate us and empower us. And so we see this all the time with our leaders who get so far and get so much adulation. Even if we look at somebody like Al Sharpton, and you find, I don't know how dirty he is now, but you find out at one point in the 80s, Al Sharpton had his hand in a bunch of different, coffee pots. And so did Jesse Jackson with the Operation Push. Come in, we're going to expose y'all. Here go $500,000. We out. Right? Like, so all these kinds of things leave a bitter taste in the mouth of Black people. This is why we're so pessimistic when we hear somebody come to us and pitch us on, hey, we need to get together and do this or do that, right? And it seems like a lot of times when we do get a movement going, the influx of money is what ruins it. And the egos that are established. That's why you heard me say I'm not interested in going to these multiple meetings and these kumbaya sessions, because it's just a public ego stroke. It's just an opportunity, and not for everybody. Shout out to the brothers and sisters who are really passionate. They want to, have solidarity and get with, the rest of us and some other brothers in the network. But there are a lot of brothers who are stroking their ego in your face. And that's why they show up. And they're usually exposed by some illicit funds or them fucking off. And you be like, this motherfucker, a whole time he was out here on that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And so this is why Black people, this contributes to us not being unified. This contributes to us not wanting to say, hey, man, let's get on code and rock with dude over there. And like somebody brought up the churches. Listen, I'll say this. There's a lot of passionate, dedicated, seriously blessed, anointed men of God. I don't care if you don't believe in Christianity, it is what it is. That's not what this conversation is about. I have lived long enough in this faith because I've been in this religion my whole life. And I learned that I shouldn't call it Christianity because that's once again, it's a different conversation, right? But I've been around people who I could tell from the way they spoke or the way they carried themselves that they were really, truly anointed. I had an auntie who I never heard anybody say anything negative about, because anytime you met her, she was the most genuine person you ever met in your life. The baddest guy who I know, who was my cousin, rest in peace, loved Aunt Dolly, right? My mother-in-law, one of those people who would take you 10 minutes to talk to her and you say, man, you feel the generous, you feel the real generosity. You feel that this person is a person that is for real about what they say. My wife's ex-pastor, I remember, and this was Kojic, and I was raised Baptist. I remember going to church with her, hearing Elder Gina speak and feeling like he was talking just to me, right? You know when you talking to somebody who is locked in on you, Kamar. You know when you talk to an elder and you can tell, like, okay, he's for real or she's for real. Then you talk to someone, you be like, you know, some bullshit. Here, man, take $5 and get the fuck out of my face. I'm just saying. So anytime a pastor comes out or a clergyman comes out and get caught up in scandal, or we find out that he or she was doing something like we seen Eddie Long do all this against gay people, come to find out he had a whole little boy squad, right? We see preachers all the time getting caught up with the money and the women, but it's ego. They may have started out on a righteous indignation, but that ego, man, that ego will drive you crazy. And you can't say what you will or won't do until you are energized by it. I seen this. I'll keep it all the way 100. The original Black Panthers of Milwaukee, I seen this. I saw an original organization of men and women who were passionate about the community. We hit the streets. We got in the trenches. We went to everything. We was everywhere. We was on one. And then several individuals in the food chain, the ego just jumped in. And you could see it. As they say, it was palpable. And that's when I started to look around saying, my gift is discernment. I see it. I feel it. I smell it. Right? And no diddy. I'm saying this is not something I fuck with. So I backed up off of it. So I want to tell anybody, like, and sometimes we judge people when they do make mistakes, or because it can happen to anybody, right? There's been times in my life where I was feeling myself, right? Had a little bread in my pocket, had a few diamonds here and there, had a nice little Cadillac doing my thing, getting a little bread. I was feeling myself, but my ego was out of control. I was on some bullshit, right? All the wrong conversations to be having with self. Go ahead and buy that motherfucker. You deserve it. You know how much money I fucking wasted when I should have been investing it? Because my ego was saying, nah, man, you deserve the best. You a boss. That's what I used to tell myself. You a boss. You supposed to dress like this, eat like this, ride like this. And when I should have been saying, stay humble. Stay humble about this money and save it and put it away and invest in it. Well, it didn't take long before I was on my ass again because my ego got out of control. So, and this can happen to anybody. So my thing to brothers and sisters is, if we can just turn down our ego, right? I think we'll get a lot further as a people. But when I look at Facebook and I see Instagram and I see what people do is they get their validation from social media. I'm a king. Look at me. I'm the divine magician, right? I have a stick that enables me to fly faster than Harry Potter. They don't say that, I'm paraphrasing. But I say, if you was really that, you wouldn't really need to say it. Other people would say it about you, right? Like Martin Luther King didn't have to come out and say, I am a great leader. I am the greatest civil rights leader. Everybody wants to march with me. He didn't have to say that. You never heard him say that because everybody else said it. Martin, you are the greatest leader we've ever had. Martin, the things you've done have changed the scope of Black America. I never heard Martin Luther King brag on himself ever. Y'all see how fine Coretta is? I got the baddest bitch. Like this ego shit drives us crazy, man. And Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, told Malcolm, these cameras and these microphones can be your downfall. What happened? You go on national news, call a man a pedophile and a criminal. Now, if you say, Kev, he should have, he was exposing him. No, he shouldn't have. At that point, his ego had told him, you are the carrier of justice. At this point, with what you found out about him, you need to take the responsibility of telling people. People who knew Malcolm might say, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But oh well. I'm just saying ego ruins everything. Look at the greatest sports teams, multiple championships, multiple Super Bowls. What breaks them up? This coach gets his own job. This dude get $100 million to go over here. Once everybody ego kick in, we got to break this shit down. So my thing is, we have to get our egos in check as men and women, right? You can't be the divine everything. I get that it's important to have self-love. I really do. I get it. I get it's important to have self-efficacy. But sometimes you're just doing too much. Now, if there's people who say, Kevin, I do that because my ego is weak. I didn't know my worth. You know what I'm saying, Kamar? It's people who say for a long time I didn't love myself. And now, since I put this out here and I get love from people, now I do have an ego. Now I am loving myself because of what I'm able to do on social media. I still think it needs to be put in check. I think somewhere along the line with Puffy, his ego took over. I think that's what led him. What you seen him doing to Cassie in that hallway, to me, was a man who said, I can do anything. Nobody can touch me. I'm more powerful than everybody. His ego was out of control. You gonna throw freak offs and pour baby oil on people and let them put skeet on your girl, all this kind of shit. His ego gone bad. So that's just my perspective on that. Let me get this chat room before we get up out of here. Black Panthers, this is Brenda Peterson. She said Black Panthers in the South, can't remember his name, was paid $200,000 by Target to stop the Target boycott, and he didn't even start it. It was black organizers in Minnesota right at Target corporate. Yeah, well, they was the fool for thinking that one person, listen, no one black person unilaterally controls black people. The fuck who you hire. People love the shit out Beyonce. Give Beyonce some money and say, go stop violence in the black community. Ain't nobody listening to that shit. So if you're going to make a mistake, if you believe there's one black person who you could put on this pedestal and they speak for everyone. So that was a mistake in itself. It was a bad business decision. A fair exchange ain't no robbery. So shout out to him for getting that $200. Ian said, my dad was a Panther and started smoking dope. You don't even want to get me started on what happened, the fates that were suffered by a lot of the original Panthers. And I'm talking about the Party for Self-Defense out of Oakland, California. A great organization, great men involved, and done so many groundbreaking things. But ultimately what runs this away is ego. I'm the leader. Go research it. Huey goes to jail. He comes home. I'm taking it back. Well, no, we got a council now. We got Eldridge Cleaver. Fuck that. I'm Huey P. Newton. I'm fucking with Huey. Fractured down the middle. Kamar, what you got going on this weekend, man?
This weekend, let me see what we got this weekend. Saturday, I'll be at the Fondy Market. You catch me at the Fondy Market Saturday morning this weekend. Other than that, you be at the House of Vitality the rest of the day.
Okay. Dion,
Saturday,
you on the road?
That's Saturday. Every other day, you catch me at the House of Vitality, though. Okay.
Dion, you in the sundown town this weekend with your boo, or you just riding around? I'm still laughing because Dion told us a joke one time about him in the Chevy. What's the little bitty Chevy? My daughter got one.
The tracks.
Yeah. And he said him and his guys both big, and they was in it, and their arms was touching, and he got mad.
Yeah, I don't ride with. I bought another. I bought another van.
Yeah,
too.
I seen your van that you put up.
Yeah, they looking for that motherfucker. I told you they looking for it.
Yeah, but I'm going down to Chicago this weekend though.
Okay.
And I might stay to Monday because I took my physical for the other job today. So and you know what, man? And that physical kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, what is it? Like, I swear, when you get older, you got to stick with one job now when you get older. Do you know these people had me blowing a tube, they put an EKG on me, and they fucking x-rayed my chest. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck is y'all doing all that for?
Well, it depends on what the job is for. What's the job?
Remember, I'm doing a boiler attendant trainee thing.
Well, that's why. Yeah, they want to test and see if you're healthy enough to do that shit. You fuck around, pass
and
out.
Then hopefully I hear something from them Monday or something. So I'm gonna act like I'm still working and be like, I'm gonna put my 2 weeks notice in so I can have a little bit longer just to chill. You know what I'm saying? Because it feels good not to wake up at 4:45 in the morning, just to lay around a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So now the disadvantage of having all these vehicles is I got to go outside in a minute and pull them on the other side of the street. But yeah, I'm going to Chicago Saturday.
Don't you got a driveway? You parking on? You got to buy parking? Oh my God! And I ain't even talk about.
I do got a driveway, but my little car, the tracks is parked in the back of the house. The new van is parked by the garage. And then, like, I might want to drive a certain vehicle. So you got to drive them cars every day. You know what I'm saying? So I don't be wanting to move them around like that. So my first van, I got a 90-day parking permit. It's good to October. Then I just bought one for my pickup truck. So my tracks and my other van is in the parking lot because, you don't want to, you got to drive them every day. You know what I'm saying? At least once a week or twice a week. You know what I'm saying? You got to drive them cars. they just can't just be sitting up there. The batteries are drained and all type of shit. So when we get off the phone, I'm gonna go out there and move them around. And I should do it while I'm on the phone, just in case somebody bop my head. Y'all can be like, he's on 79th Street. Go get him. Help my guy, Dion, please. Because these motherfucking dogs I got ain't gonna do nothing.
That's what you get for having them little ass poodles and shit. I bet you Kamar big ass Cane Corso or break something. You fuck with him trying to park his car. Your little dog talking about something. Get that little ass dog out of here, man.
They'll wake the neighbors up, barking.
We call them dogs shit bugs because that's all they good for is shitting outside. Listen, and we didn't talk. We'll talk about this Monday. Our mayor is going at it with the Common Council now over parking. You don't really know if you don't live in Milwaukee or if you never paid attention. It's dumb as fuck. There's no overnight parking in Milwaukee unless you buy a permit. And even then, you got to put your car on the other side of the street. So their argument is we shouldn't have to do alternative sides of the street. Well, you pay property taxes and you pay income taxes. You shouldn't have to park on the street in the first goddamn place. But that's a whole other topic. We'll get on that. Listen, man, I just want everybody just to take a deep breath, man, and go into the weekend with your fingers crossed and your prayer hands. Because I keep saying our city right now is having, our country is having an epidemic with violence, and particularly in the black community. And I know a lot of people who hate my city, rightfully so. Milwaukee's an acquired taste. I've said that millions of times. Like to say Milwaukee is the most horrible place on the earth because of this, that, and the third. Well, I'll tell you, take a look at any city across this country. Take a look at any state and look at all the urbanized areas where minorities live. They are all dysfunctional. They're all there's murder, there is mayhem, there's police brutality, there's drugs, there's rape. It's all over the country. Now, if you can find a place where you can get right in where you fit in and you can change or raise your standard of living, I'm all with that. That is a beautiful thing, and it's an experience and an epiphany to have when you realize, hey, I just changed my life for the better. But I've heard some very, very intelligent people say, more often than not, change starts from within. So no matter where you are, a lot of times when you won't change, it has to start from within. You have to start changing who you are, how you process, how you make decisions, the company you keep, the decisions you make. And if you start to work towards that, not all the time, but most of the time, you're going to start to see progress. You're going to start to see some elevation. And then you'll get to the point where you say, shit, I don't even have to move now, right? Because I guarantee you, if you on some bullshit here and you move to another state without changing, you're going to be on some bullshit there. And the same things that happen to you here are going to happen to you there. So I love when Rakim says, it ain't where you from, it's where you at, right? And that's a hip hop quotable from 35 years ago. But it makes the most sense because a lot of us need to look around and say, I have this problem, that problem, this problem, and that problem. Whose fault is it? If you weigh a lot of the information, what you're going to find is you're the problem, right? If you're a man who can't find a good woman, it ain't women's fault. It's your fault. If you're a woman who can't find a good man, it ain't all men's fault. It's your fault. Somewhere along the way in your processes, there is a syntax error. Yes, I'm from the 80s when they said syntax error. The moral of this story is let's try to be the best that we could possibly be. Instead of always blaming someone else or always looking for validation for someone else or getting material things, thinking that they're going to make us feel better. And that only makes us more depressed when we realize now you're just a dressed up fool. And so let's look inside of us and try to figure out what it is that we can change to make ourselves better. And once you start to make those changes, you become a witness and you can witness to other people. And that may enlighten some people who are stuck to say, you know what? I never thought about it like that. What he's saying is real. So be the best you can be. Come on, hit us with some OG shit real quick. You muted.
Real OGs. Never forget where we came from. We just knew we stay there. Stop me when I'm lying.
There we go, man. Real OGs. Y'all holler at that boy down there. Dion, you have a safe trip, man. Peace and love to all of the Outlaw Radio family who was listening. Please share the show. I'll see y'all Monday.
Yes, sir. Love, bro.
Peace.